Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chris and Andre Show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Chris and Andre Show. We're glad you joined us. I'm Andre.
And I'm Chris.
And we have friend of the show, Fire Guy Joe, back with us again this week.
I got upgraded to friend? I'm so honored. I feel so special. Nice.
Keep it up and we'll have like your own entrance music.
I just want one random guy in the audience to yell, "Hey, Joe!" You know, that's it. That's all I ask for.
As always, we're glad that you joined us. It's been the first thing I want to talk about is we fixed our quality issues with Riverside. It's almost a hack, so I'm not really happy about it, but for the most part, I'm pleased. So hopefully that shows through in the episode quality. Yeah.
If you're curious about that, you can check out our YouTube feed, where Andre posted a video explaining how he fixed it. Fellow podcasters who may be experiencing similar technical difficulties are encouraged to visit. It is one of those things. I've had a similar situation. I can't remember what program it was or exactly how it worked, but one of those things where it's like, oh, you open this other program first and now this other thing works. It's like, okay, sure,
That
whatever.
makes sense.
But yeah, very happy to have the quality back up, because that was one of the reasons that we chose Riverside, was because of our ability to record nice high quality. I mean, really, like, we're some beautiful people on here, right? Like, you want to see us in the highest quality. If we could record in 4K, people, like, we would, trust me. Not really. No, that's too much, but
Well, let's get into it.
all right, so we have a new segment again this week. I'm just going to keep throwing new stuff at the wall until we find something that sticks. Quick Hits was there. We'll probably bring it back at some point, but we've had some pretty meaty discussions here lately. So this new section is brilliant because it requires us to do no real prep work whatsoever. I just go on Reddit and I go to the AITA subreddit, short for Am I the Asshole? And pick something that I think would be fun for us to discuss. So this week we have, am I the asshole for sternly telling my wife I get to invite whoever I want, whenever I want, to my house? And here's the details. Yeah, I know, right? Like, Andre's already like,
divorce.
I know. Yeah. This isn't even really like a debate. This guy, I was like, oh my God. My wife is a stay-at-home mom while I work full-time. We have 2 kids that I help do 50% of their care while she handles cooking and cleaning, and the other 50% of childcare as well. He works 40 hours a week, but helps with 50% of the childcare somehow.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all.
When they're sleeping.
Yeah, that's the hard part. I'm sociable by nature and am fast at making friends, whether at work or outside of it. The problem is my wife has is that I invite friends and coworkers over every few days to my house for dinner or lunch. Restaurants aren't an option now due to budget. My wife said she has to cook for my guests, though I never tell her to cook this or that, nor ever complain about her choice of meals because it depends. The guests eat whatever she feels like cooking, yet she complains that she has to cook for extra people, which takes extra effort and time. And also, since I sit with the guests, then she has to serve them by bringing coffee / preparing the table / etc. Since I told her I don't do those chores, but I thought that since this is her area of responsibility, then where's the problem?
Oh my God, I'm so triggered.
There's a little bit more. I'm going to
with
condense this last part because it's pretty freaking long.
I don't think we need any more.
He invited like 6 people over for Thanksgiving, and like apparently didn't tell her until like right beforehand. And then she got really mad and was like perfectly pleasant while they were there, but then as soon as they left, was just like done with it basically. And he was like, this is my house and I get to invite whoever I want, whatever I want, and you're gonna like it, Missy. So guys, I mean, this is hard, right? This is a toss-up here. Is this guy the asshole?
Yeah. I think it really determines if an asshole is reading this, then it's a toss-up. But no, it's straightforward. Holy hell.
Like, everything he said is wrong.
I know.
Reddit, you can get downvotes, right?
In there that isn't wrong.
Yeah,
Yes,
you can get
you
downvotes
absolutely
on Reddit,
can.
right?
Although
how many downvotes does that dude have?
Well, it's 78% upvoted, but on the Am I the Asshole thread, they say don't downvote assholes. That's not the point, right? The point isn't, he's trying to vindicate himself, but ultimately, if you downvote it, then like
it goes away.
It goes away. In this case, he gets completely lambasted by 4.3 thousand comments.
Yeah.
Of everybody telling him, you are the asshole, sir. Like,
so right off the bat, the dude sounds extraordinarily conceited. There's no possible way you're doing 50% of the child care and housework and working a full-time job. I worked 2 full-time jobs, and I could barely do 20%. Like that, like, and then the whole I don't do the pre-prep. Like I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't set the table.
I don't clean.
Well, then what do you do?
Right.
Like it sounds like she's an excellent wife who's just trying the best to like handle the situation, but multiple times a week. Come on, dude. One or 2 times a month is perfectly acceptable. You can't even argue that. But if you're trying to supplement a relationship with your wife and family with your friends, because you can't afford to go, like, bringing your friends to your house because you can't afford to go out to a club or anything.
It's probably more expensive to bring them to your house.
That's what I would think. Like, ultimately, you know, he's like, oh, it would cost money to go to lunch. And it's like, but how much is your wife spending or you spending ultimately, like, by her having to prepare food for these people?
Well, a bottle of rum chata is $25, and that can last a lot longer than 3 shots of rum chata for the same price.
This is true.
So I wouldn't say it's more expensive, but I would say it's definitely more taxing. And I think a person like him should take in consideration that if his wife did not do any of those small services unasked, how horrible his experience would have been, or at least how horrible his experience would have been, therefore not having any future guests. So... No. I would not say she didn't say some things that were unjustified in her criticism. She might have went far a couple times, but he literally just
He's asking for it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, the reason I say the whole thing. Sorry, Gary. No, I'm sorry. I got a lot on this. This feels very, very similar to what I go through. So,
so I just think that, in all honesty, it's like, look, you know, in our budget we have what we call like play money, right? So my wife gets play money every month. I get play money every month. And that's the money I use to go out to lunch with friends or whatever, you know.
That's a real kinky way to call it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I didn't have enough.
I cut you off with that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just, or fun money, or I think it's called. I don't know what it's called, but like the thing is, it's like it doesn't mess with the budget. Whatever she does with that money, she does with that money. Whatever I do with that money is that money.
It's like petty cash.
It's like I used to have it called petty cash in my budget, but I actually felt pretty bad about it.
Such a white privilege thing to say. Here you go, some petty cash.
No, see, this dude understands the petty cash.
it's a business term. It's just like the cash you need just to go do stuff. But I think
money for the till, yeah.
Yeah. What I think is really weird about this guy is that he's married. You know?
Yeah.
Are you asking how he got married?
That's part of it. But it's just like everything he says is wrong, and Thanksgiving is probably like, dude, if your wife wasn't thinking about not being with you next year, she is now. Like, that is some pretty foul crap.
Yeah, I mean, that to me is like, you are convinced that no matter what you do, your wife's not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the type, or it's just one of those people who married somebody because he wanted a mom, not an actual like partner.
I don't even like that word. It's your wife, right? My wife is my wife, and I'm her husband. That partner shit doesn't fly with me, and this is why. Because I really do believe that partner doesn't handle the fact that when you're on and she's off, right? You've got to pick up the slack and vice versa. Like, you guys, I just, the partner thing is like, it's not a transaction. It's not transactional. That's just my line of thinking. But my wife is my wife, and I want to make sure that I don't, that's like one of the most important relationships in my life. I don't want to damage that.
See, I don't think of it so much as like a transactional relationship, more like buddy cop. you know.
Oh, sure.
Oh my God.
Like,
You're my partner in crime. Let's go out there and beat up some ethnics.
We go back to his death benefits. I mean, it's like,
Yeah. So, how much do you make when you die? Oh, hell yeah.
I know, right? So I don't know. I think that you're right. The way that he looks at marriage is not the right way. Something's off there. And maybe
it could also be a product of marrying too young, because sometimes when you marry too young, you feel like this is like you said earlier, you're not going to go anywhere. You're so interconnected on your budget, your life, that why would you ever break up? That kind of thing.
I know older people.
Yeah, see, and that's what I was gonna say. Is that I think, like I understand what you're saying, Joe, and I think ultimately it's more of a life experience, you know, like a maturity kind of thing than it is, I think, just a strict age. You know, like I think you can have that perspective at a younger age based on what you grew up with, or you know what you've gone through.
Or lack thereof.
I think. Yeah, or lack thereow. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think. Precisely. So, all right. Well, that was fun.
Determine this guy is the asshole.
Yeah. I'm about to say the answer certified asshole.
Next week I'll try to find one that's a little more
I think we should ask,
debatable. How's that?
I think we should ask. We know he's the asshole, but we should ask is he redeemable?
No, I don't think he is. He's decided down that road, dude.
I mean, like you can grow. Like I think. Ultimately, that's not a position that I think is incapable of, like, that somebody is completely incapable or intractable to get out of. But it's not going to be easy. It sounds like he's pretty like he feels like he's in the right if he's on Reddit, and I love, like, sternly, like he emphasized that he sternly told his wife this, and that's where I'm like, exactly, like you're talking to her like a child. This does not feel like a healthy relationship. So chances are no. Within the next like 6 months, they're probably getting separated or divorced. Like it's over from here.
He's
I take it as.
No, I will take that. I will say that if he understands where he's off, then they can probably work it out.
Yeah.
But if he's saying that to make himself feel better and not wanting to own up to what he did wrong, then he's screwed. But if he can sit back and be like, "Yo, that was foul," they might be able to work it out.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like that type of dude. He's not built like that.
Yeah. He definitely sounds like he went to go try to play the victim on this.
Yeah.
We'll see. I would say that he's redeemable after the fact, after he loses it all, and that sudden shock of chlorine to the system, get that bog water out of there.
That works for some people, but not everybody. Some of them, it just makes them more resilient to the fact that, like, oh, well, I was right and everybody else is wrong. But
they don't understand.
Oh my God, you have no idea.
I got some yummy stuff to talk about next. Cooking. So I am like, I have it on my list to. I know, and you have no food. To update that one, because we barely even talk about actually like cooking stuff anymore. It's almost all just like, I went here and ate this amazing food. So at some point it'll get updated to just like food. But for this week we're still using cooking. And last week I went that might have been me. Cooking. Sorry. Last week Christy and I went to CRUST, which is I know, right? It is an adult grilled cheese sandwich store.
Okay, I gotta ask before we continue. What about it makes it an adult aspect? Like, is it because they don't have Barney running around or something?
I mean, like they're fancy grilled cheeses. Like, you know, it's not just like 2 pieces of white bread with some butter and
how much?
No, it sounds like a lot of white bread to me.
Yeah, right. I get this guy.
All right, so they have several vegan options, which was the reason that, of course, we ended up going there. And one of the one that Christy got.
Pretension.
Yeah, well, that's what I do. I'm sorry. This is your first time on the show.
You just roll. Look what you're wearing, dude. You just roll in it. I'm so proud of you. You know, sometimes we like seeing people fail to the extreme.
What do you mean? Look what I'm wearing. This is my cozy sweater. And my
Mr.
friend's
Rogers gone
not
drunk, you
food
mean?
t-shirt.
Okay. So
Anyways.
tell me more about.
Tell us about the
porn
pretentious
shop that makes
sandwich.
grilled cheese.
The porn shop that makes grilled cheese sandwiches. No, so like I got what they call their Juri, Juri sandwich, and it's basically like a vegan Korean beef barbecue. So like
That sounds
bulgogi with like sesame seeds and stuff in it, and then it had these like really spicy hot peppers, fresh jalapenos, and some cheese on like a baguette. That
We're talking about white
was
spicy
legit.
or
I mean, like it was pretty spicy. It
It
wasn't.
sounds pretty good.
It wasn't like melt your face spicy. The peppers in the sandwich itself, like the fresh jalapenos, were the spiciest part of it by far.
okay? Was it like regular loaf size or what?
I mean, it was a
It was like-
baguette.
what is it?
so like
Artisan.
like a,
So it was,
yeah,
okay. So artisan bread. Got it. Okay.
yeah, kind of like like almost like a sub, but not really, not a because it's like cut in half, not dug out.
A lot of
That sounds
these
good.
being said when you do it. Oh man.
Yeah, so that was really good. Christy, I can't remember which the one that Feed Me Seymour was the one that she got, and that was really good too. I don't remember exactly what was on. I think it had like an
Feed Me
Impossible
Seymour?
Patty or something. I was
God, I'm
not a
sorry.
huge
I
fan of
love
their
the
tomato
little-
soup.
I love the Little Shop of Horrors reference. It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
They do. I mean, like
So
I have to
go back to
respect
the
their
Korean
fun
beef.
game too. But yeah,
was it
so
like
jackfruit.
was it seitan jackfruit?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, the
Okay.
jackfruit, and I'm hit or miss with jackfruit sometimes. Like it can be done really, really well, like it was here, where it's you don't even like I didn't even think for a
Recognize.
second that it was jackfruit. It was
right.
at one point I had to kind of check to make sure that I had gotten the vegan one.
Oh,
'Cause-
so they have a cross menu, or is it like all
Yes,
vegan?
yes. So they
Oh,
only have
that's-
some items that are vegan, and the rest are not.
Okay.
But yeah,
That's difficult.
Eh.
God bless them for that.
they do a good job. This team. They have mac and cheese too, but they didn't have their cashew cheese sauce that they use for the vegan one, so we didn't get to try that.
Right.
Do they have
So
tater
what's
tots?
this other place you went to?
So this other place.
Now tell me about the
yeah.
Feed Me Seymour.
Oh yeah,
I'm sorry.
Feed Me Seymour. Well, so that's just
That just sounds very adult.
that sandwich or the reference.
All of it. It's just like
Okay, so
Feed Me.
Feed Me Seymour is a reference to Little Shop of Horrors.
I know that.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
Sexy
that's
show.
why I asked
Love it.
why
Yep.
if you didn't understand the reference.
Yeah, it was a
come on.
play and then turned to a movie, Broadway
I'm
musical.
trying to
actually.
find
with the guy from Ghostbusters, the dorky white guy.
yeah, Rick Moranis.
Yeah, the guy from
Rick
the Honey I
Moranis.
Shrunk the Kids. You mean?
Hungry and
That's his.
Fucking
That was
Good.
his prime moment right there. He's never done anything better since.
I'm looking at CRUST's website, and their menu looks pretty good.
It is.
Are we all
Um,
planning a date now? What's going on?
Dude, this guy's a Mets fan. You can't eat there.
I didn't ask. So yeah, the Juri number the 13.5, or I guess that's it. Yeah, 13 and a half. You can get that vegan. The Feed Me Seymour. That's got the Impossible Patty, Chow vegan cheese, the Thousand Island dressing. Christy said was absolutely amazing.
Really?
Caramelized onions, sourdough, and then she added avocado. But yeah, they have what they call the ghost face filla. That's got shaved ribeye,
Nice.
aged mozzarella,
That's
and
a nice
provolone.
reference. Somebody's doing
Yeah.
their job in the
They
kitchen with
must
those
be from
names.
New York. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing. And then they do tots. They got tots and stuff that you can get. Their tots were pretty good. I did not care for their tomato soup, unfortunately. That was a little disappointing. Because I love me
Why
a
is that?
good. Well, because I love me a good like grilled cheese sandwich and tomato soup. And it was
Yeah, you
cold
dip it.
that day, so it was like tomato soup butter. But there was just something about the tomato soup that I just wasn't. It had like almost kind of like a floral aftertaste,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not here for eating potpourri. Like I grew up with potpourri all over the house, and
I
like
hate potpourri.
yeah, it's the worst. Whoever thought that was
I-
like a legit thing.
Wasn't it
Our
French?
parents, because they were all getting high in the 70s. I hate that, and incense also.
Yeah.
Incense are annoying.
But the other
My
place
wife
that
likes
we
to burn
went,
incense.
Steam. So this is another not vegan restaurant, but they did have a couple of vegan options.
Discounts?
I don't know. I don't think so. Oh,
Yeah, right. You don't call yourself Steam and you don't have holiday discounts.
So it's actually in the Embassy Suites downtown in Wilmington, but it's right on the river. The way that it's set up, like the restaurant itself is kind of separated. This is like one of the nicest Embassy Suites I'd ever seen. But
You've been to many?
I'm not knocking the hotel. I'm knocking. So it's like a tenant of the hotel, or are they like leasing the space?
I think I believe that it is a tenant of the hotel.
Okay.
I think it is part of the hotel that they came in, but obviously the hotel spent good money to put a nice restaurant in.
Gotcha.
I mean, there's so much hotel competition in downtown Wilmington too. You know, you have all those people getting drunk. They need the place. They need to attract drunks for one night stands and stuff. I used to be an Uber driver back there, so I know exactly what those people do and where to take them.
See, that's a life experience. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, nothing but bad ones.
So
Can't wait to share.
They have a vegan Alfredo that was really, really good. Yeah, I know you don't like white sauce, so that's not for you.
How do you make a vegan Alfredo?
Cashews.
Cashews.
Really?
Yeah, so cashews are one of the
Does the texture come out the same?
It depends.
I almost said masamina.
We all understand that here.
So it's kind of like making cashew milk in that respect.
Yeah.
And then utilizing that as a base for the substitute for the cream.
Usually, what you'll do is you'll soak the cashews for a while, and then throw them into the what do you call it? The food processor.
Nuts,
I just want to say he was waiting the whole time to say soak his nuts. He said that's all he wanted to say was like, so you soak the nuts, right? No, really, you soak the nuts.
Soak the nuts. Yeah.
Once they get moist, you process them.
I make a roasted garlic cashew Alfredo sauce at home that is very, very good. I just can't with white sauce. There's just something about it where I just that's
can't
racist.
rock with
That's
it.
racist.
It is. Ding.
All right, you guys ready to talk about some pop culture?
No, I want to talk about my latest addiction. I've been making the hell out of some vegan subs.
Well, you didn't put this on the list, so we're.
I know. I was just thinking about it.
It's not on the list. No.
New business is. We've already finished new business.
Dork.
I'm not, dude. But yeah, I've been making a lot of vegan subs.
Yeah.
Like a boss.
So, like, what are you putting on your vegan subs?
Green peppers, onions, lettuce, vegan Swiss cheese, and vegan provolone.
Okay.
And I made my own little like vinaigrette dressing. Oh, it's so dope with oregano. It's like crack. It's amazing. I can't get enough of them. They're like amazing.
That sounds good. So no like meat substitute or anything. It's all just veggies and cheese.
I think I've actually kind of graduated from that.
Nice. But where are you getting your protein?
I eat enough beans, Joe. But yeah, that's my new. It's like my new crack. It kind of goes with my hash brown addiction.
Yeah.
So now,
hash browns in the morning and.
How do you like your hash browns? Do you like it like shred it, or do you like to actually form mold it?
No, I shred them. I shred it. Like my wife has to buy like 10 pounds of potatoes a week because I make hash browns like a champ, and because she's Peruvian. So I love hash browns.
She just eats
and I have vegan chili
raw.
Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, that's all I got.
Which
on
you
the
can.
foods.
You can do that. They proved
Let's talk about some pop cultures.
Pop culture.
All right, I gotta take off my sweatshirt.
Yeah, you do. Woo!
Yeah, play the music. Play the club music. I'm disappointing you. You don't have that pre-fire.
But I was so focused on not letting my
Don't humiliate the guy. Jeez.
I was so focused on not like pulling my headphones out.
Yeah, you did good there.
I would have had to like start all over. Like, no, damn it, this can't be every week.
So in honor of our kind of man park our digital man park that we've created here, I added the SNL's man park skit to the list here because that's one of the better skits that I've seen them do at least this season, if not the last couple of seasons.
Very relatable.
Just very, it was hilarious. I kind of want to build a man park.
I think we need this, man. It'll like change the whole tone of the country,
right?
Like,
I like the taps.
You're a Mets fan.
I'm just ready.
Yeah, no. There'll be a big sign out front that says "No Mets fans."
You know, I couldn't help it in that video. There was no DC fans. It was all Marvel. That made me so happy.
I mean,
there's a reason for that.
It's pretty accurate.
I will say, well, yeah. Anyway, how was Ghostbusters?
Okay, so
you go first.
You both saw it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how bad did this suck?
No, man.
I did the look.
No,
I
go
did
ahead,
the sad
Joe,
boy thing.
you go first.
I did the bat. No, you're gonna go first. But I just want to say this real quick because he asked me.
Okay.
I did the sad boy thing, and I looked at my phone after like an argument with my wife, and I was like, what can I do for myself? There's a movie across the street. I literally live right across the street from a movie theater. That's why we built the house here. Just have you know, that literally was the reason we chose this property. Because I love cinema, and it was right across the street. That way, if the car ever broke down, I could just walk. But 9:45 showtime, and I was like, oh my god, I won't get back till midnight. I was like, hey, Pa.
Everybody will be asleep. Yeah.
I was like, watch the kids. He's like, they're already asleep. I'm like, fantastic. I'm going to go watch some Ghostbusters. That's probably going to be horrible. And now is your turn.
And that's where you stop.
You go.
So I can say that it was amazing. It was everything that I want in my nostalgia-filled soft reboots, as you so deemed it. Like, it had elements from the first movie. It had all these little, like, beautiful little pieces that were just dropped right in there. It had a lovely tone to it. It wasn't dripping in nostalgia, but had just enough of it. There was the casting was fantastic. I loved the little girl. She was awesome.
There's no sarcasm in there.
Paul
is there?
Rudd.
Holy
Paul
shit.
Rudd. Paul Rudd was amazing. Like, I mean, just Paul Rudd. He was just Paul Rudd, but that's Paul Rudd. Like, that's what I want from Paul Rudd. I want Paul Rudd. Give me Paul Rudd.
Look at Andre's face.
He hasn't even seen it. So he doesn't even get to comment on it.
So
I'll wait.
So
no rush.
I will let it be known that this movie theater across the street from me, their ticket price is only $5.
Okay.
So there was not much of an investment in that. There was no I'm going to lose money on this if it goes bad.
Yeah.
Having that said, it was well worth the $5. I would not pay IMAX for this. I would not pay IMAX for this because some people are. They're going to IMAX.
I wouldn't pay
for that.
IMAX
Regal
to go see
theaters
this either. But I wouldn't pay IMAX to see any movie.
If you, I think out of a whole year of horrible movies and horrible remakes and soft reboots, this one was nostalgia at a smooth level throughout, and it was.
Thank you.
It was riveting, and the only gripe I had with the entire movie is they
It can't be riveting.
For me, it was, dude. Like
It was.
The
They
whole,
did a really good job.
They did really good. They made a character that wasn't in the movie until the end so emotional. Like you just felt what you know. I mean, you want me? I'm not going to spoil it. Is it a spoil?
I don't want to spoil that.
I don't think.
I don't want to spoil that piece because it's not in the trailer.
Okay.
Did you do that?
No. Oh, nice. Honestly, the only problem I had was they overused the stereotypical Luke Skywalker, like reverse aging technology a little bit. Like they overused that in one scene. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I did not watch the movie, but I did. I think one of us ran across an article, and I sent it to you. No,
I sent it to you.
And I was right. That article.
Okay,
that's my
just
exact
because
sentiment.
an article, some author out there, which, by the way, publishing online, as we've proven time and time again, very low bar, right? Like, does not
You're saying.
require.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a
Yeah.
ding.
Just because somebody wrote a book named Mein Kampf doesn't mean it's the best book in the world.
No, my point being,
I had to bring
like,
Nazis into it.
I'm not gonna crap over the movie all over the
Yeah, you
movie,
will.
but I will say
you
this.
will.
Because it's a good movie, so you shouldn't do that. Because then all of the internet nerds will come after you.
That's racist.
But so if you compare this movie to the last time they try to make a remake, night and day difference. The last one was just straight garbage.
Look, I mean, and
Like,
look, I sat here on the last podcast episode and said that I enjoyed the
defended it. You
2016 remake of Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I will watch
And
that
some
movie.
boy-
I like it. I think
and-
it's fun. I'm not
and
saying it
some
was
boys
great.
like getting their nuts twisted.
Yeah, well,
It's not me.
just because
this one was-
those two things happen to line up this one time doesn't mean no.
My point is this. Like, I don't have a like.
I just think
Here's
there's room
what I
in
think,
Hollywood
and I'll-
for both nostalgic reboots like this and
Here's
garbage new
here's what I'll
movies
say.
like The Tomorrow War.
Andre,
Here's
you
what-
go, and then I'll add something to it because I have a feeling.
And
what
then
you're
I'll
trying to say.
just keep interrupting in between.
Yeah. So my feeling is this. It's two parts. One, the reason like Ridley Scott and the other douchebag are like, oh, Marvel
James
movies
Cameron?
suck, or hero. James Cameron, like, I hate
other
superhero
douchebag.
movies. And it's like, dude, guys, you know why they do so well? They have fresh content. Like, they don't hit the ball out of the park every time.
They recycle the exact same storyline
That's
for
actually-
every
that's actually-
movie.
So why is Marvel like
Because
literally?
people will pay to see the same thing over and over again
Chris,
in
they are
different
running the
flavors.
They are running this. Stop. Hear me out. They're running the scoreboard up on original content. They have an open like. They have over. They have over 70 years of content to pull from. You know what you get in the
And
movie,
yet-
like in traditional cinema, and yet we have everybody's like getting their panties all wet over Avatar 2.
No, I'm saying, and yet every Marvel movie basically
How
tells
dare
the
you
same
imply that we still
story
wear our
from
panties
start
at this
to end.
That's actually not true.
It's very,
second-
they are
the
very
second
formulaic
thing-
in the way that they
the
develop
second
their
thing
plots
I'll-
for movies.
The second thing I'll say is, I am not even remotely intrigued or care about any type of reboot from my childhood.
Right.
If they redid Goonies, I'd be like, what for?
Okay,
They
time out.
did.
Time out. This is a perfect segue into what I wanted to
I
say.
never saw it.
One, shame on you guys for bringing comic book stuff in here and not making that its own segment. That is my bread and butter. I have so much to say about that. But
We
so,
could make comic books its
okay.
own segment, but we usually do just wrap it
came
in
in-
with pop culture.
I came into this movie. I came at the movie, but I came into this movie with the idea that if this goes really bad, I'll just not talk about it and pretend it never happened, like you would, if, every time you think.
Right.
But after when I got halfway through it, and I was finding myself actually chuckling and smiling at these characters. The main character, the little girl, is just
Amazing.
is charismatic as heck in the weirdest way. It's
In the
she has
weirdest
no
way.
act- Yeah, she's so dorky and awkward. I was like, I'm rooting for you. I don't want you to get killed. don't
So,
let the Stay Puft Marshmallow
She
Man kill
kind
you.
of reminds,
Right?
and I kind of hate making this comparison because I don't particularly like The Big Bang Theory, but in a way, she was kind of like Sheldon Cooper.
I get you on that.
You know, just that standoff.
Sheldon Cooper always
is-
felt to me that it was like a fake. Like let's
Yeah.
put 12 writers behind his one character
fair.
and make it unbelievable.
You're
This,
right. She was
actually
much
felt
better
intriguing.
than him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
Kayla Kuko
because she had
was,
she had
very
faults.
good in Kayla Kuko, whatever. her name-
I don't know
She's
her
like
name,
the
but
best
I just know
person
she's funny.
in the Big Bang Theory.
Oh.
I don't
yeah,
know their names.
the blonde.
I don't know their names. I'm not that.
Yeah,
I'm not
she's
I'm not that big of a nerd when it comes to cinema.
I never
mean,
watched that
TV
shit.
stuff. You bring up Stargate SG-1, I'll burn you down. But anyway, let me
So
finish
I-
this. So
Okay. Yeah.
let me finish.
I mean, go ahead.
And I'm losing it. Hold on, I'm catching it.
It's
My
okay.
brain's slipping.
You're defending this movie because the main character, the girl, was amazing.
Okay, you were talking about if they remake the Goonies. That's how I got in this thought process.
Yep.
Halfway through the movie, I was starting to feel like why am I happy about this? Why am I liking this? And it's because I realized early on, with a no given attitude as soon as I came in, this movie is not made for people like me. It's made for the transitional generation, the ones that know of Ghostbusters. They see the Hot Topic shirts. They hear their parents and their uncles talking about or making reference to the Ghostbusters, but they don't know like the spirit of Ghostbusters. And I think this movie gives a very realistic and honest translation of what the original spirit of Ghostbusters was, but for a very new generation.
Funny, because in a lot of ways that is literally the plot of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like
I think they succeed
in some ways.
I'm done.
Yeah, okay, you're done. We get it.
You guys are both fanboying over this movie.
It was great. It's okay for movies to be good and for people to enjoy them, Andre. Like you just. Anyways, Cowboy Bebop was a grossly overrated remake that I really haven't enjoyed at all. I mean, like I'm not here for these, real life reboots of anime properties like.
Live action of an anime.
We've done that to death now, right? We had Ghost in the Shell,
just
Final
give me
Fantasy.
A Trigun. Give me a one-to-one remake of Trigun.
Dragon Ball Z.
Well, Dragon Ball Z doesn't count. Like
yeah,
that,
it does.
Which way? That it's an anime or that it wasn't a real life adaptation. Anyways, I'm with you obviously because Cowboy Bebop is amazing. I've only watched the first 3 episodes so far. I watched them last night, but yeah, I mean, what rock has John Ho been hiding under that he was just like, oh, let me pop up in Cowboy Bebop and just completely own this. But
yeah, he's Slade, dude.
Seriously,
Slade.
Like him and the other dude. I was like, that's like if I was Asian, this is basically me and Andre.
Yeah. I wouldn't do all those token Negro things though. I gotta be straight out with you. There's a lot of token Negro stuff. I'm not even down for that.
Like what?
We're not. I can't remember. There's just I don't know. There's a bunch of token stuff. I'm like, yeah, we gotta reel that back in. But it's such a good show.
It is.
I won't call.
So I'm kind of curious because again, I've never seen the anime Cowboy Bebop. So
what?
I'm sorry. I'd never.
Oh my god!
Watched it. I didn't have those friends back then. And so what I'm trying to understand is because
that's why you became a vegan.
No, it's not why I became a vegan. Says the guy who eats 50% vegan of his own accord for no particular reason.
Hey man, if it's food, I'll eat it. Food, women, or alcohol, I'll take it.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about this eventually.
Oh.
All right, but let me finish my thoughts on Cowboy Bebop real quick before we dive into Batman comic books.
Batman comics.
A lot of the
TV comics.
Here's a great example, right? Cowboy Bebop is an absolutely beautifully shot show. The cinematography in that show is second to none. Eternals wishes that they had the cinematography quality of shots that Cowboy Bebop has, in my personal opinion. It's just
I haven't.
Well,
I know you haven't seen
environment just CG.
I don't even care. It's probably the same in Eternals.
Actually, I think I can give you that. I think the cinematography was spot on.
It was incredible.
And, the set design was amazing because you really couldn't tell where the CG started and the set ended.
Well, and so that was the other thing I'm trying to figure out is how much of the scene setup and the specific shots were taken, basically verbatim from the cartoon.
I think a lot of it because
that was my interpretation of it. It felt like I was watching an anime. The way that certain things were filmed, the certain angles, the overhead shots with the fan spinning and stuff like that.
Right.
Those are all things that, to me, I would expect to see in an animated format. And I thought the way that they presented it, it was super vibrant without being. It wasn't quite like Thor Ragnarok.
Or Sin City.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
it found a really good kind of balance.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
But yeah, it's been great. I'm really looking forward to finishing it.
when you watch Arcane, it's gonna blow your mind.
All
That
right.
is like,
I got so
That
much
is
to do
a-
tonight.
ooh, I know, right? Arcane. If you haven't watched it,
Have you
should,
not
like,
watched any of the
definitely check
Cowboy Bebop yet, Joe?
No, I've been in court.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no
Let's
joke to
talk
that. That's the truth.
it. Yeah.
Do I need to put like the
Disclaimer.
just so people don't feel horribly uncomfortable, like including me and
This is
Andre?
what I'm here for. I'm here to just screw up the paradigm every time.
The next thing you had on there, Chris, is something about are we all
Are we all
nerds?
D&D nerds? So, like,
Okay, question
Joe,
about that is okay.
you
I was
posted
curious about that.
something on Facebook that was basically,
did?
it was like, yeah, it was some, like, you know, joke or some meme about, like, when you want to seduce the, you know, like the barmaid or something like that,
and you don't roll a natural 20?
well, no, but your dungeon master is like, go ahead, like, you know,
Oh,
like
yeah, seduce
encouraging
me.
you to do
Yeah,
it, basically.
Yeah, no.
and so
The
I-
joke was the joke was the barbarian wants to seduce the handmaiden, the barmaiden,
Oh, yeah.
and the DM was like, go ahead. And he's like, what do you mean, go ahead? And he was like, seduce me, and he's like, in real life. Which I've been in situations like that. I've been in accidental. I don't know if a lot of people don't. I guess a lot of people don't know because when I talk about it, people are like, what the hell is that? But there are situations when you have adult D&D parties and it's not told in advance that when they want you to role play, they want you to really do it. They want the romantics. They want you to like really get in there, and that's how you end up in a no pants party on accident.
That's not a joke.
I'll be
that's
honest.
That's not a joke. That's truth. That's life experience there. The guy's weighing right next to me, like this close, and he's like, "Hey man, you want a beer?" You know, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go home.
I haven't played D&D in well over 20 years, like a long time. But
I used to
I had
actively
this-
DM.
I just don't have that type of on the spot creativity, nor would I plan to do it like throughout the week. But I played Robotech, which was, in my opinion, was a much better role playing game than like D&D. D&D is it's dope. So I
Is
know
Robotech
that,
basically the same thing but with robots?
Yeah, but it's so much.
Yeah,
better.
but it's so much better. Just because it's robots and not Dungeons and Dragons. Gotcha.
Well, I don't hate on it. I just
No, I
just
know you're not
never-
hating on it, but you obviously
I've never
technophile.
like well, yeah, sure.
Maybe you're a
I never
technophiliac.
I never really got into like as an adult. Well, most of my friends like in that circle, they kind of grew up, right?
Yeah.
And it was never something like I would find as adults that I knew that was an adult.
But isn't
playing
that part of the
role-playing games.
problem? Like, we grow up and we leave all of these amazingly fun things behind. I never played D&D as a kid, but I got into it like 5 years ago.
I never left the fun things. I'm just saying. I mean, look at my room. I never.
Yeah, you got.
Yeah,
all
I
this
mean,
stuff.
like,
fun
shit,
things.
I have my Nintendo Power collection here. I have
But
all
the
of my
question-
old
the question is-
wrestling magazines. Like,
I think the question is better framed as, do we miss having fun, right?
Sure.
Like even video games, it gives you a way to like have fun.
That's true.
And we just we miss those experiences the older we get.
and I think,
But,
I mean, like, Joe, when you and I were playing Left 4 Dead or Back 4 Blood, you know, the other week,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, there you go. No, you're right the first time because that's all it is.
yeah. But in a lot of ways, it's very similar to like an automated D&D campaign. You know, like, I mean, you have
I can see I can see your comparison there. You know,
Right?
'cause
I mean,
the,
it's- it's
the
less
random
it's-
chance of it all.
Yeah, and it's less based on obviously like your imagination and kind of like obviously it has the visual cues and everything like that. But
right.
anyways, yeah,
I'll do a little education.
I was curious because
right
I
here
know
when it comes to D&D.
I had learned randomly about Andre's past interest and time spent in role-playing games. And then when I saw
Outside
Joe's
of
post,
bed,
I'm
yeah.
like, man, would that not be hilarious if we're all a bunch of RPG nerds?
Low-key nerd.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a straight up nerd. I'm not gonna lie.
You
I'm a
are.
straight
I
up,
mean, we're
like,
all
closet
straight up
nerd.
nerds. I think, like, for the most part.
with,
I don't know.
But
with me in
Luke
particular,
Cage,
a lot of
you're on that new
Wait,
joint.
hold on.
I'm
What
sorry.
you got, Joe?
I'm just trying not to I feel like I keep interrupting you guys, but I have so much good things to
No,
say.
it's okay.
Go ahead.
You're friend of the show,
So,
Fire Guy Joe.
I played the
Where
hell
did
out
you
of...
come from, Fire Guy Joe?
I played the hell out of Dungeons & Dragons in college, and it was like, it got me through that. And then when I became an adult and I started working in the fire department, and with the pandemic and everything, our jobs got a hell of a lot more stressful. This Facebook page, some really nice lady named Hannah on TikTok put together a Facebook group for people to find other D&D players locally, and it just turned into well, let's teach you how to play D&D, let's teach you how to DM. And I was like, you know what, I know the rule book inside and out, but I was never like charismatic enough to jump into that side of it, because it's a lot of responsibility. And then I thought about it, I was like, dude, I'm literally driving a fire truck and I'm commanding other personnel to handle structure fires. Get your ass online and roll initiative. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. Yeah. But a big part, a lot like kind of what you said, people said they don't have time to physically be there or to be on camera and to do the whole role playing aspect. But a healthy alternative is text-based adventures, and that's what I specialized in. It was literally like, I post the scenario, everyone has their time to post a reply, and then I'll do some number crunching, you roll on your end. Sometimes you can use an app so you can't cheat the rolls, and I'll just go from there. And I can upload maps and everything. It was very low-key. A game that would maybe take 2 or 3 sessions, we can spread out into like a month. And that way no one felt like, oh my god, I have to get online right now. It's literally like, oh, you got some time, jump on in. And for the big combat phases where we're going to fight the big bad, as I call it, the big boss, I would schedule those, being like, okay, one day out of the week, this is where all this story and because I would have a mainline story, but based on each character's choices, they can branch off and do optional objectives, and based on what they did, they'll get rewarded certain clues or weapons or trinkets that would give them more insight of what they're going to fight later. And that could make it a lot easier for them when they fought that. Because I did the whole, if you die, you die. You're out. Make a new character. I was very brutal like that. I said there's always a 40% chance that your guy is going to die instantly. So think about that before you jump.
See, I hate that. I spent so much time on my character that I was just like, that's the last thing I wanted was for my character to die and for me to have to start over.
That's the beauty of D&D. It lets us take risks that we can't do in real life. But no, it's very accessible. You just have to be willing. And no, I've met some DMs that are really just douchey. They're like, you got to be here on time. You got to be 3 hours early so we can talk about the pregame stuff. And you have to, subscribe to my channel. And I put up videos on YouTube that we're talking about the story. I'm like, we don't need all that, guy.
I mean, that's great if you have the time and energy to do that. But yeah,
They got paid DMs. Ugh.
We played on Roll20.net, like the online platform, and we had, I think, 5 or 6 of us that were all recently new parents at the time, and so we had little kids that would go to bed, and then we had like 2 hours or 3 hours where it's like, well, what do we do now? And so we'd get online and play.
So are you like, in a weird way, all of you folks shagged around the same time to have the same kids?
Yeah,
basically.
Like the kids go to sleep, I'm having sex.
You wait until after D&D for that, and it's
no, dude. I need it.
Or in the case like I ran into, you can do them both at the same time, and you start for it.
So you were watching Luke Cage before we started, Joe. What's up with that?
Technically, I still am because it's paused right there on the screen.
2 years late.
Hey, man. Hey.
You're watching that
I'm
show,
like
right?
a woman. You don't complain when it's late. Jesus. But no. So with Luke Cage, I just lost interest in it. Honestly, around that time, you had Daredevil. You had.
Daredevil was ill.
They did just cram out a whole bunch. It was like Iron Fist, Daredevil.
It was Daredevil, Punisher,
Punisher,
Fist,
yeah.
Punisher was dope.
The female, I keep forgetting her name.
Oh, Jessica Jones.
No, Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones. So
yeah.
That was dope too.
So all this was going on at once, and really where it really, really killed me was Iron Fist. Iron Fist broke the momentum that those shows are setting.
That was the mistake you made, was watching any of Iron Fist.
Oh my god! But I'm a purist, so I'm like, if I'm going to watch Marvel, I'm going to watch all of it. Yeah. But it was like a huge missed opportunity, and I think they got the wrong actor for it. Like I know people defend him and say he's a good actor, but they just wrote him bad. Like no, he does not have any of the energy and charisma that the comic book character.
It was a crappy script.
Yeah, the comic book character is very charismatic, but in a almost like
Bruce Wayne
snootish way. Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
he was kind of like he knows what he's doing. He knows he can kick your ass. He's not going to talk to you. You say something to him, and he just like brushes you aside, like because he's freaking Iron Fist. And
to
then
me,
I was like, okay,
Arrow
they killed the momentum.
And what you call Iron Fist had very similar kind of starts to the shows in terms of like storyline and stuff like that.
I can see that.
Arrow, I thought, just did such a better job with it than Iron Fist did.
It's blonde hair, blue eye, white boy comes back to $1 million. Everyone thought he was dead. It's the same thing.
It is. I mean, it's basically the exact same story.
Yeah. It's Batman Light.
Yeah.
They're all derivatives of Batman.
Well,
Speaking of Batman.
Well, speaking of like things that you don't want to watch ever, Venom.
Oh, your mom and your dad and your grandparents do it all at once. Have we not been there?
No. But Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
It's a great film. It was up there with Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I'll wait and see. I'll get on Redbox.
No, my dude.
No, I mean,
seriously.
I gave my review. I didn't enjoy it.
It's so bad. I'm watching this joint, and I'm like, yo, it's 5 minutes and 13 seconds in. Why am I watching this? It's
wow, you got burned out that quick?
43. Yo, I was like, it's 17 minutes and 43 seconds. This is the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah. So I got first 7:13 of Venom, and it sucks. 17:58. This is awful. Why is the guard N. Brown? That's racist. Ding! Venom was horrendous. I am actually upset I watched any of it.
It was the worst movie I've seen in like 2 years.
Have you not seen the
I know we have some people on YouTube that said that our review of Venom was cringe, and your
he said our video was cringe. He didn't say our review of it was cringe. He said, "Yo, bro, your video's kind of cringe."
What's the definition of cringe then? Because I'm confused.
That he watched it and he was like,
uneasy and unfocused.
I don't know.
Okay, so my dude, whoever you are,
you're dead to us.
Venom was garbage, yo. That was like one of the worst movies ever. Tom Hardy, God bless him, he was a producer and he got like several credits in like the credits.
He took way too much credit for that movie.
Yo, I would be like, nah.
Tom Hardy put money in that.
Yo,
Why?
it's
It
not
was
Deadpool.
so bad. They tried to make it Deadpool.
They tried to mirror Deadpool throughout the entire movie. It was so awful.
It was really bad.
I saw a little bit of that when it leaked. It leaked on YouTube, and when I saw that scene of like just Venom talking to Eddie and trying to make these shitty, out of character jokes, I was like, I'll wait for that to get on Redbox. No, thank you. I don't know what you're doing right now, but it's not Venom. And then a big part was they didn't go rated R, so I'm like, I really don't want to watch this. Dude, you're bringing the most violent character from comic book history in, and you're like, we'll keep PG-13.
And you're gonna clown him. You clown him. The whole movie was like a clown session. Yeah. And then you have Woody Harrelson playing Carnage, and Shriek was awful.
She was Shriek never really bad.
It was just.
Oh wait, Shriek was in there?
No.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, that's right. The lady in the car screaming.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was dumb.
And they tried to make it like, oh my gosh, this big reveal, like late, right, with the guard and the detective, and it's like, oh yeah, no, like we all kind of. It not only did I figure that out, but at the same time, like nobody cares. That doesn't mean anything.
The movie was garbage.
Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
But to summarize the whole Luke Cage thing, Iron Fist killed my momentum. Season 1 of Iron Fist season 1 of Luke Cage was excellent. It had good standard story pacing. The heroes triumphed. He got to a really good peak. And now he's the new hero of Harlem. He's got his street cred. Second season should have been he's got his street cred. Now what can he do with it to save and make changes on Harlem? But instead, it's just he's just doing nothing and bitching about it the whole time. Like, the fight scenes with him and Bushmaster are just garbage. There's only one fight scene I thought was interesting enough, and it was on the bridge, and it was still
in
like
the Central Park.
Yeah, and
The fight in Central Park was dope.
Is that the last one? Is there one more fight after? Then I'll hold my judgment on that then. But so far, I stopped watching it because one, the Iron Fist broke my back, and it was just my momentum was dead. And then going into this, having it edged me so well through season 1, I was waiting for that nice peak and climax, and then we're gonna level off. It just dropped to Boring Town, and then it just became like Tyler Perry's Luke Cage.
Medea visits Central Park.
Yeah.
And
having that said, the scene where
get...
the mom and daughter talk about their family history, that actually made me very emotional. That was the best crying scene I've ever seen anyone put. Just snot out of her nose and everything. A+. But you know, it's not the best.
You know, it's not the best. The Suicide Squad.
Oh, so for a little bit of context, because Andre and I have discussed this one previously, the first time that Joe and I hung out face to face, we went to lunch and like we sat down, and I think it was within like the first 3 minutes. He's like, "All right, so before we get too far into this, I have to ask.
I need to check the temperature.
What is your take
on
the Suicide Squad?" And I'm like, what? Of all the things that he's gonna ask me, like, not what I was expecting. And so I gave him
real serious too.
Yeah, I gave him my take. And so Joe, like, I thought it would be fun for you to give your feedback on.
Let's open up old wounds.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So the Suicide Squad, the soft reboot, if you will, or soft sequel. Suicide Squad, because that's how you rename movies. Fast and the Furious has just ruined sequel titling for the rest of eternity. Like, I think we are all in agreement there. But yeah, Suicide Squad, not a great movie in most people's minds. Joe, did you have any thoughts on it?
So as for the original Suicide Squad, I think it was aimless. It had no character, and it was just one big commercial for like one accidental commercial. I mean, they reshot the entire movie because of a trailer that was so damn popular. Like, oh damn, we got to put some color in this now. And it was the only character worth a damn in that was Harley Quinn. I know people have their, Will Smith, like, oh my god, he did great. Stop it. If you watch Will Smith and anything else, you would know he didn't bring anything he doesn't normally bring to anything else. So there was nothing extravagant about his performance. What really impressed me was the actor who did Harley Quinn. I can't remember the name for nothing.
Margot Robbie.
She embodied She embodied that character so well. I felt like I was watching the comic character on screen. The only one that kind of did that was dude who did Captain Boomerang. And that brings me into the second movie. Why the are you killing A-list characters in the first 5 minutes? Freaking Captain Boomerang dies with his boomerang in the air after getting squashed by a helicopter, and I'm like, why even bring him into the movie? Why cock tease us? Why be like, hey, look, the actors from the first one are coming back? Ugh.
It's James Gunn, man. Like, everybody, like, I don't think James Gunn is that like impressive as a director. Like, I didn't like Guardian of the Galaxy. I didn't like the second one. I am not a James Gunn fan. I think he does his own crap in movies. He's kind of like
Zack Snyder. He's like a more colorful Zack Snyder.
Do you think it's the whole let me like beat you to your expectations kind of thing? Like, let me subvert your expectations?
Yes.
Because that's what it felt like a lot of times, and I was like, "Come on, dude! You're trying so hard to be unobvious that you were stupid obvious."
Right. So it was like the whole opening of the movie where you have this beach scene, right? And the unobvious thing is that all of these characters that we've just spent all this time introducing are going to get completely blown to smithereens, right? So that's what we're going to do. Yeah. But then in that, you realize, like, partway through, okay, so this is all just a setup for actually introducing the characters we're going to care about.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we can't understand why freaking Harley Quinn was in this group, right? Like,
yeah, right. Like, now if they had like maybe her and the lady, the lady from all the Batman movies and stuff. I forget her name. The
Catwoman.
No, the bitchy black one. If they had her and Harley butt heads again in the beginning, like they did in the last movie. Yeah. And then she put them on that
Amanda
team as a kind of Waller, yeah. And then she put them on that, and she put them on like the B-list team. Then that would have been like, okay, that justifies why Harley Quinn's on the.
But it was basically expecting you to remember everything that happened in the last movie and to carry that over into the beginning of this one.
Which doesn't make sense. Right. If they want you to forget about the last movie,
which
why
was
are you
not the
bringing
point.
so much
They weren't
forward?
trying to make you forget about the last one. They basically just wanted.
They did on interviews. They were like, this isn't a reboot, but it's going to change the continuity.
Yeah.
Like, they purposely wrote out the whole Joker sequence and all that.
Right.
It was
like the whole fact that Joker died and all that.
It was dumb. Like, it was just a waste of whatever they spent.
It had no central plot.
Yeah. So,
like, that was the thing that drove me crazy about it, was that at the end of the movie, like, I didn't understand what the story was that they were trying to tell.
It wasn't. And one of the biggest thing is, it's cool that you brought Starro on screen. He's a very underrated character, and but at the same time, he's the one that established his Justice League. But if you have Starro, the question always comes to your mind: where's Superman? Because that's a galactic level threat. Why would you introduce him out of all things?
But see, I feel like Marvel runs into the exact same problem with this stuff, where it's like, the Eternals are just sitting around while Thanos wipes out half of civilization, right?
Yeah.
Like, the Captain Marvel is out, traipsing around the galaxies, the universes, because all these people are in bad situations, but you can't stop this dude from murdering half of the entire universe, like.
No.
Which Captain Marvel are we talking about? DC or
Marvel.
Okay. Not my Captain Marvel.
Oh God, we're gonna Joe is figuring out how to be on every episode, because next week we're gonna do the comic book section, but we're gonna move on to sports because we have to do the life section.
We do have to get
Joe
to that.
He's figured out the secret sauce. Like, let me just open this can up and see what they do. So let's talk about sports.
All right. So I won't take too much time to go over this, but I would be remiss.
This is your whole. Everything here is all about you, man. This is the crappiest of the crap.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
NC State beat the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in football after being down 9 points with less than 2 minutes to go. Other teams this season were 0 for 451 when they were down by at least 9 points with less than 2 minutes to go. That was look, at the end of the day, I understand that State had no business actually winning that game. Like, we didn't.
But they were favored to win the game.
We were, but I'm saying, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that they scored those last two touchdowns. And dude should have picked that last touchdown off. Like, all that stuff should have happened. Anyways, State won. It's a great year in football. I'm sorry that you guys had such a down year. I'm sure Mac Brown will have you back on top.
He's gonna, I think he's on the out.
He's not on the out. He's not done.
I can't get mad about it because my daughter went to that game because she goes to a certain university,
NC State,
and she was happy about it, and I had to just silently sit there and not say anything.
State's a great school. 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 State's a great school.
I swear to God. Next.
Wow, that was annoying. By the way, what's the deal with this offensive chant thing people are talking about?
Offensive chant? What offensive chant?
Yeah, University of Southern California football player enters the field before NCAA college football game to an offensive chant, and there's like a public apology.
I don't know.
It doesn't tell you what the chant is. So I'm like, what did you say? Like, what did the students say? I need to know now. Like, don't just tell me about that CNN and then not put up. Like, what was so offensive
CNN's
about
new
it?
MO. They're like giving you half.
You said to racist chant.
Apparently, I guess it had to be. I mean, who else? Why else would a
They
college?
were talking about Lauren Boebert.
Well, it was the University of Southern California. When you said USC, I thought you might have meant South Carolina. That's much. I felt like that was a lot more likely for them to be chanting some racist.
Yeah,
thing.
no, that. But they wouldn't have an apology for that. It'd just say,
We said it.
"It's my culture."
Oh, that was a
my
BYU
heritage.
player. So what was it like? Sister wives, sister wives. That's not racist.
That's racist. That's racist.
Do we actually have a counter? Do we have that installed yet?
I would just like to go on record as saying that being Mormon that's not a race.
I mean,
That's a religion.
that's Mormon.
unless you,
That's
if you're talking about
Mormonist.
historical, if you're talking about historical precedent, they would qualify as one because they were hunted down and killed and slaughtered. There was actually bounties for Mormon heads. You brought Mormon heads and Bibles, you would get paid for
Not
it.
just the magic underwear.
That's Mormonist.
So they're just as like. There's arguments to say they suffer as much as the Jews, but I was like, no, I'm
You hate
edgy.
all of those false
edgy, but
arguments
no.
that they like to bring up. Anyways,
Yeah, like white people are true minorities nowadays.
hey,
No, that's whitest.
yeah, I can't say that. I'm sitting right here, man.
Oh no! Wait, we got two colored friends.
Andre, I'm gonna have to take away your media board powers at this rate. I'm glad you figured it out.
You don't want to know what kind of media board I would have.
Okay, so what now?
College
I don't know.
basketball.
Yeah, all I've got is college basketball.
What
now,
I mean,
Carolina.
where are you with Hubert Davis? The team is 4-2. The 2 games that they lost were to top 25 ranked teams. I'm just curious. I'm literally not trying to be like.
You are.
I'm really not, because I read an article that said the honeymoon phase is already over with Hubert Davis, coming from like an Inside Carolina, blog thing. And so I'm just curious from you, who is I consider to be more of a tried and true Carolina fan. What are your feelings on the season so far?
I think that it's a slow start, number one. And I do think COVID has played a lot to that, if I'm being honest. I think there's a lot of things that would have happened postseason last year that did not happen, and it's just going to be an adjustment.
Okay.
He'll be fine. Not worried about it.
Okay. Yeah, I think they've looked okay even in the games that they lost.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where it's like, all right, can we just figure out a way to deal with COVID and figure out what the next steps are going to be? I don't think it's a solve, but let's figure it out so we can adjust.
I mean,
So,
I would bet a quarter, our famous friendly bet, that Carolina. What?
Carolina goes to the ACC tournament.
No, I was gonna. Well, of course they're gonna go to the ACC tournament. I think everybody goes to that. But I was gonna say that Carolina finishes with a better record than NC State.
Oh yeah, well that's not been a problem in like 17 years.
No, but I'm just saying. I mean, like they're both 4-2, I think, right now. Or State might be 5-2, 5-1. I can't remember. But we lost Manny Bates, our star center, for the entire season, and we have literally nobody to replace him. So we're screwed. I mean, like we got nothing. We're pulling rabbits out of our hats, hoping that something. So my college basketball season is basically already over, much the way that your football season was over before it started. So.
Jesus Christ! If I've seen like 3 articles so far from like Denver sports papers, or art like journalists, they're all calling for Drew Lock to sit the bench.
In favor of who?
The third string guy. I can't even remember his name. Like it's like bad. Like Denver is in a bad spot,
and they still won. They beat the Chargers like 28-10, and I just had to laugh and sit there and go, "Thank God it wasn't just Phillip Rivers when he was in San Diego." That's just an awful franchise that can't get out of its own way, no matter what.
I think the Bridgewater thing is the thing that nobody's talking about. Like that's where I would say, first of all, our starting quarterback is garbage, and I don't know. I don't have a solve. I just think that Denver, in retrospect, should have started Drew Lock, made Bridgewater the backup, and it'd be a completely different season. That's all.
I think in Denver's mind, where they were going was, and I agree with you. I think looking back on it, they should have flip-flopped it. But I think they thought we'll start with Bridgewater, and then if he falters, we'll bring in Drew Lock. But I don't think that they felt like they could go from Drew Lock to Bridgewater, which I think was the mistake. Because I think you could have. I think if Drew Lock started the season and didn't play well, you could bring in Teddy Bridgewater to be your starter and then see. I mean, at that point, you've already decided that Drew Lock's not coming back. Like, if you've switched to Bridgewater at this point in this season with that much time that Drew Lock has had, then there's no way that you're at the end of the season, you're like, well, let's give Drew one more shot.
Well, the thing with Drew Lock is, like, stats-wise, he's better than Bridgewater.
Sure, but
like that's performatively, he's like a better quarterback all the way around. Not saying like overall. I'm just saying like in game situations, Drew Lock has got better results. I don't know. That's Bridgewater. He's not the hill I want to die on. But anyway, that's all I got.
Speaking of hills to die on, Cam Newton. Not looking like he's got a real shot at the MVP anymore. I
swear to God.
That's almost twice today that I got you to do a spit take.
He's still Cam Newton. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry to everybody that's a Cam Newton fan. Like, I've got nothing against the guy. It's just like...
That's not true. You literally sat here last week and said, I can't root for him. I won't root for him. I hate the man. Like, okay, I don't think you said I hate the man, but
yeah, it's Cam.
I get that. I know that you don't like Cam. I totally understand that. I do like Cam, like, and
I'm not a fan of players or athletes believing their own press. I said it with Simone Biles. I'll say it with anybody. You cannot believe your own press. Like, for example, Tiger Woods today has this big press, well, not a press conference, but
the interview or whatever.
He's not playing full. Yeah, he's not playing full time.
He's basically not playing golf. He's not playing professional golf anymore.
No, he is because of endorsements. He's not doing like a full circuit, right? So he gets to pick and choose. I think he's wise enough to know at 45, I cannot believe my own press. Now it could happen at 52.
Yeah,
he gets back in shape, right? He could.
I mean, the way his body's been falling apart, I highly doubt it. But okay.
But it could happen. I mean, look at Jack Nicholson, right? He played until
but Jack Nicholson didn't have multiple car accidents that.
But Jack Nicholson played until he was like what 63, like on the full PGA tour.
It's Jack Nicklaus, by the way.
Nicholas, whatever.
I always mix them up.
You ever dance with the devil
in the pale moonlight?
Pale moonlight, nice.
I'm just saying, it's the same name, same person. But my point being, like, he played into his early 60s, right?
Yes.
On a full PGA tour.
Yeah.
So there is a possibility if Tiger stops, like, getting drunk and doing lines of coke and whatever else he's doing that's
crashing
not
his
good for him
car
or his family. Yeah, we don't know why he crashed his car. I would say it was a coke. Like, it's a possibility he can come back and be like, I can do a whole tour.
How dare you criticize his recreational habits?
Do you think he wants to do that at this point?
What, coke? Yes.
Because he's got, like, he's got sweet deals.
No, but I mean, but, like, you know, like, there's those guys who they don't know what else to do, basically, right? Like,
actually, I think Tiger Woods is cemented as the GOAT of modern golf.
Okay.
It's no different than Serena and Venus Williams. No matter who wins, like French Open or English Open, they are considered probably the greatest. The only person that could ever knock them off is what's Shorty's name? Osaka.
Naomi
Osaka.
Yeah.
Is it you know why? Because they're like the premier athletes in that sport.
Well, and because I haven't watched King Richard yet. I will probably wait for that one to come out on.
It's on Plex.
Oh,
but
well, in that
aside
case.
from that, I just think that with Tiger or any athlete, it's like, look, hey, it's like Roethlisberger may be benched in their next play. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Probably not,
but it's a possibility.
Anyways,
But
the point of this whole conversation was to ask the question: between Cam Newton and Russell Wilson, who would you rather have as your quarterback?
I'm taking Russell. I have confidence in Russell. I have no confidence in Cam Newton.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's probably at this point you've seen less bad stuff from Russell than you have from Cam. So
I don't like how you just like kind of reel that back around on me. Like I was really trying to get away from the answer to the question, and that was a pretty good Jedi mind trick.
Thank you.
I'm
no, I appreciate that.
You've been paying attention.
Every once in a while, I do that.
I'm not impressed.
Shut up, Joe.
Let's talk about life.
Life.
So one thing that I've been really this is probably a hill I'll die on, and it's like mental health, right? And Fire Guy Joe, because that is just like the coolest thing.
Aw, thanks. I got the tattoo.
That's weird.
Whoa! What?
It was cool until you had it
weird?
permanently inked on your body, and now you're a freaking weirdo, and this is the last time you'll hear from Joe.
I mean, to hell with you then.
I think like one thing you've danced around or you've talked about, you brought it up, and we've all been there, right? Obviously,
Because I don't dance, yeah.
Like familial issues and like life and depression and divorce, right?
Yeah.
So one thing I've been marinating on, and I wanted to talk about it last week, but we talked for 3 hours, never touched on it. But I want to talk about it now, or my viewpoint on it. I think marriage is super important, right? I think that both parties...
Spoken like a man who's got to walk in eggshells.
No.
This the way you said it is so uneasy.
I'm a terrible single guy. I can't be single.
No,
so
the thing that you will learn
some
about...
people are built that way, yeah.
The thing that you will learn about Andre is that he is very specific with his word choice. And so there are times when it sounds like he's thinking extra hard about what he's saying.
This is the internet. It stays there forever.
Well, so to be fair, my wife and daughter said, you talk kind of slow. My daughter's like, you're like Obama.
Oh my God.
You're always
That's
picking your
funny.
words very
That's
carefully,
racist?
like, I'm like, that's super racist, Joe. So, no, but I here's what I will say. It's interesting that we're probably, like, if you take the span of our age differences, we're, I'd say on average, or maybe it's like 12 years of difference.
We are 8 years apart each.
Each. Right?
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I am the middle child.
Yeah.
Hence the sweater.
I'm just wearing a Malcolm X shirt because I have like 20 of them. So
as one does. I'm not an enthusiast or anything. It's just just something I found in Goodwill for some reason.
I actually purposely buy a lot of Malcolm X shirts, but I think that it's interesting that like how we look at. I don't want to frame this. Divorce is inevitable in our society for a reason, like, and that is. It's hard to say, but it's a fact, right? You have a man, you have a woman, or you have two people, because I don't want to be like, I don't want to get myself in trouble.
You have two consenting adults.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Partners.
No, that's wrong.
And/or animal.
I think the problem is that people aren't. I'm trying to frame this where it's like.
Yeah, you're trying to be safe on this, aren't you?
No, I'm not. But I'm trying to think about it in a very like generic way, right? Because I think the problem is it crosses the board. The issue that I believe is that you grow, but at some point you stop growing and talking to each other, and you decide to go your own way.
You stop growing together and you start growing individually.
Yeah, and I think that's more or less the issue. And I think that is, it makes marriage, like the end road is going to be, if that's the societal norm is to like, I'm going to do my own thing. And you have, I can tell my wife very sternly this, that becomes normal. The ultimate outcome is divorce.
Yeah, but I would also argue that, I mean,
Hence, like that first dude.
That viewpoint, the sternly telling my wife story that we covered earlier, is not new to society.
No, it's not. It's becoming more normal.
I don't know. I would argue it's becoming less normal, but
before we could dive into that, let's talk about the basis of marriage. One, there's a lot of cultural differences. There's a lot of religious differences. But I think we can judge it. We can derive it down to the fact that not everyone has the same viewpoint of what marriage is or what constitutes a marriage, let alone a good one. And I can use my wife in that example. For her, love, like just the feeling of love, is a marriage. That is something. You are in a marriage until that love is gone, and then you just detach from it. For me, it was marriage is a commitment. It's like a contract you make with your spouse and God to both protect and honor continuously, regardless how much you love or hate somebody. And that, for us in that particular situation, it didn't mesh well. It did really well for a while, but as soon as things started getting difficult in life, like you said, you grow apart. So I don't fault her for that. If anything, this happening in the way it's happening is teaching me how to be a more well-rounded person, let alone an adult. So I think that's the base of it. What if I told
you love is not a feeling?
What if I told you people think love is a feeling?
What if I told you that's technically not true?
And it's
an action.
But isn't anything?
What if I told you I love you?
When you argue,
I would say
I'll tell you to go to Jared's.
That's not a big deal.
Honestly, when it comes to people's interpretations of things, it's very personal. Like, love is a difficult concept for people to even understand, let alone obtain from another human being. So it's hard to, it's not like, like Chris and I meet him for the first time, like, what's your take on Suicide Squad? Okay, now I can base the rest of your shit on that. I can't just walk up to a woman and be like, define what love is and how do we acquire this? And you're like, that's not going to work out. That's going to be very awkward. And if it's not awkward, please call me, because that's the kind of woman I want.
555 Fire Guy Joe. 555 Fire Guy Joe.
But fundamentally,
do smoke signals. I'll come up.
Here's the thing that I realized, because no relationship is perfect, right? It's just
definitely not.
It's not in the cards. The reality is, like, my wife, we're on two different spectrums of culture. We're on two different spectrums of like how we accept things emotionally.
Oh, don't get me started. If you're different heights.
Oh, she's mad short. She's like barely 4.
I was saying, like, there's some positions you just can't do safely.
No, you can't. You just get a
step stool.
Get the rubber grips on it.
So my point is this: like, it's, if you look at love as an emotion, you're halfway there. The reality is, like, the true definition of love is by what you do, how you respond to things. And there are times where you have to be full of grace to truly love someone. It's no different than it is different than how you love your kids, because your kids are going to do things eventually that you're like, what the hell are you doing? Right? But it doesn't.
Glue doesn't go there. Why are you doing that? You're going to suffocate. Yeah, I know. We've all been there.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah. So there is a difference of, like, it's not about how you feel. And I'm okay with the fact that my wife doesn't like me 3 out of 7 days a week. Right?
Wow, just 3? That's a good ratio, man. High five.
Yeah, I mean, we're older. We're just kind of like, it's okay. It's Tuesday. So, it's more of the looking at it not as a feeling, but as the actions you do, right? Yeah. So, case in point, a few months back, we got into this fight on a Friday or something. It had to be Thursday, because I went to work Friday, didn't talk. And Saturday morning, I did what I was normally doing. I got up that morning, I made her coffee, and I made her breakfast, and I brought it to her in bed.
Aww.
And she puts on Facebook, no, hear me out.
Cute.
She puts on Facebook, is this love, or is he setting me up?
I mean,
I know, I get that.
Can it be both?
I get that.
But my point is, like, for me, like, I never saw that post on Facebook because I'm not on Facebook, but my brother told me about it. And his wife was like, that's the type of love I want, right? Where you can disagree, but it doesn't change who you are. You're okay to be mad. You're okay to be upset. It's okay to not like my wife, and it's okay for her to not like me for a couple days a week. But after that, is that my ride or die partner? And that's how you have to look. That's how I look at it. That's what makes it healthy, and it helps me to get through the tough times in marriage. Marriage is hard. I've told Chris this a lot of times. Like, look, dude, like, you can't prescribe these things like your wife. It's like, it's not the way it works. Yeah. Because I'm sure you're doing shit she doesn't like either. So, and that's how I look at it.
See, so I like how you say you can't prescribe those kind of things, because on a real personal level, like that was the Achilles heel to my relationship. It was always, what can you do for me? Why aren't you doing enough for this? This is what you have to do. And I was eventually drowned out as just a personality. I wasn't so much a partner or a love interest, more so just the guy who paid for everything, the guy who worked for everything. It was like, woe is me, the housewife, having to be stuck here with the kids, and you did this to me. The least you could do is work your ass off to make it up for the fact you did this to me. That kind of thing. And there's a merit to that kind of thinking in small dosage, but to make that your reality is toxic. And you lose track of where you guys started, and all you're at is where you're going, and you're just stuck in that vicious cycle. And,
shit, that's my first marriage, right? You like, we literally decided that the things that we decided were important to us, right? And my kids, like, I have 2 sons that have to live through that. And that is I believe that's the part where it's like, look, if I'm being super honest, and, I will say this to anybody, fix your crap now in this relationship, because if you're not careful, it's going to be your next relationship, because you already have a type.
Yeah.
For guys, the person that we marry, that is by definition our type. Like, and the unfortunate part is, if you forget the physical attributes, everything about that person is the last person you're with. So you're better off fixing those, or addressing those things, not fixing them, but addressing, facing those things, living with those things, and dealing with those things now, because you're going to deal with it in your next relationship. Right, Chris?
Yeah.
Right? And so I don't say it in a dismissive type of way. It's like, my wife is literally a lot of the personality of my ex-wife. So I married my type again. It's hard, it's challenging, and it hurts. Like, this is one thing women don't know about guys. If we get to a point where we're saying, even the asshole that we talked about before, if we get to a point where we say, I want to marry you, we've already committed. We're completely vulnerable. And the worst person to ever, like, not have on your side is somebody that knows everything about you. And when we lose that, we don't course correct. We spiral out of control. And it's the most gut-wrenching experience that we can have in our life, right? I'm okay, and I'm honest about the fact that I'm not a good single guy. I'm like, I love my wife. I love being married, because that makes me a better person. Not that it completes me, it makes me a better person. So the way we react to that is completely, like, not just marriage, but just saying I love you and really meaning it to a woman. It throws us off. My sons are young, and they, I've had a couple sons to go through, like, breakups, and like, yo, don't do that, yo. Like, you gotta stay true to you, because if you respond to that emotion, you don't become the person you want to be. You're a bad person. Yeah. You can't swim upstream of that. Marriage is not, it's not easy, but it's not hard either.
No, and I mean, love, like you were talking about, marriage and love, I think, and being very similar in the sense that for guys, that is kind of that barrier where once we've crossed that threshold, like, it's pretty much all or nothing for us. And it's really hard to, I think, go through that, feel like you can do that again, right? Like, I mean, when I went through my divorce and separation, like, I was convinced that was it for me. I was like, well, I'll just be single for the rest of my life, because I'm not dealing with that again. And I realized at one point that was kind of a
That's not true.
right, and kind of a silly way to
That
look
sounds
at
like
it.
a reaction. That's a reaction to
Yeah,
trauma.
it was very much. But I think, you know, like in my first marriage, I was under the false impression that love was automatic. Like love once defined and established, maintained without any effort, without any work. You know that.
Yeah, that's not true.
Exactly. I mean, like we had gotten to a point, especially right after the birth of our daughter, that like that became everything and essentially the only thing for both of us. And we drifted apart and stopped communicating altogether unless it was about something to do with our kid. And I mean, that's literally where we are now. Like that's so it was essentially a precursor.
I once had this woman move into. I was living in the ghetto, the one I told you about, where the fence line, you know, and the duplex next to us had an open residency, and it was a mom and her 4 kids, and she was a young mom, just barely, not even 30 yet, you know, and recently divorced, and she was pretty much hiding from her ex, and. We then right in front of her, right as soon as you leave her doorway, there's our little house, 450 square foot house, and you got myself and my wife, first time parents with our baby girl. And one day she just kind of walks over to us and she's like, you know, I just want to let you guys know, I see what you're doing here. I'm so proud of you. You're on your track. You're on a really good start. But what I need you to know, what I need you to think about, is that she told this to my wife, you married him, not the baby. Make time for him. And it's not till now, after all this, like 8 years later, that I'm actually fully understanding what that meant. And it's the small things. It's kind of what you just said. You get married to each other. You two are the center of each other's worlds. When you start making other goals, when you say make the other things the center of your world, you naturally push out that other aspect. You know, the other.
Because you
Not to
think
get
you
too
don't have room for it.
Well, you just lose track of it.
It's
You
okay
just lose
to
track
be,
of it.
dude. Joe, it's okay to be emotional, right?
Yeah.
So one of my sons asked me, as my daughter was going to college, he said, "Hey, Pop, what is it going to be like for my sister to leave the house?" I said, "Babe, understand this. I've never focused my life around my children because one day you're going to leave, right? And I have to be okay with the fact that you guys are going to leave me one day. And the person I have to be with is his stepmom. Like that's where my life is focused around. I've changed careers around that. I have made less money around that because what scares me the most is losing my family. Right? My kids one day, well, they're all 18 now, right? I knew that was inevitable. Because I got divorced, I realized nothing is kind of constant except for the fact that, it's going to be
Everything's
me
unconstant,
and,
yeah.
Yeah. So what that lady said to you is not wrong. But what I will also say to you is that there is a level that I wish more guys got this, right? It's the principle of grace. And I mean that with 100%. I don't expect my wife to be perfect. I expect her to understand my flaws and my weaknesses and to be I'm with her because she is the opposite of my weaknesses and my flaws. But I also have to be understanding of her and what she's good at and what she's not good at. And that's hard to get to. And it can make you unforgiving. It can make you, I don't think if I'm being super honest, there's a certain point where divorce is inevitable, but I believe there's 80% of it where it's not inevitable. It just depends on one person being honest and saying, "Yo, remember that time I didn't buy you something for your birthday? I f***ed up."
So it's funny because you and I have talked about nobody gets hired to get fired. Nobody shows up at their job every day just to get fired.
Right.
Oof.
And
you haven't worked in pizza. I can tell.
But in general, I think the same rule applies to marriage, right? Like, nobody gets married to get divorced. I didn't go into my marriage thinking there's a chance that this ends in divorce. Like, I went into it thinking this is it forever, you know? And
actually, one of my 3 tenets was that when I got married, I think it was number one. It was be the first Michilot in 3 generations to have a stable marriage. And I was like, I put a big TBA next to that because I'm like, I would have to die first. Death benefits, right? But,
Death benefits.
Oh, I came
So
into
close,
it hyper
Joe.
serious about the realism of the build, like that there was a chance to lose this, and I was maybe that's why I worked too hard. You know, you have to have a motive to work 2 jobs.
You can,
yeah,
but there's also it's not healthy,
right.
You know,
I mean, those 2 jobs
it's-
take time away from you being able to spend time with your wife and your family.
Lost
And
a lot of weight. But no, you're right.
So my priorities are how can I be a good husband, a good father, a good brother, and a good friend, right? Yeah. If it goes outside of that mold, and I learned that the hard way, if it goes outside of that mold, I shouldn't do it. But I also have to be open to grace and forgiveness, and I say that with all respect. Like, even with my ex-wife, like, I tell my kids, like, yeah, that's your mom. You respect your mother. Yeah, but nope, that's your mom, right? So whatever happens, it happens. And this is, hey, if you're listening to this podcast, yes, this is deep, but this is some guy stuff. Guys, we don't talk about, like, what does this feel like? It hurts. I've had my...
That's putting it mildly.
It hurts. It's like a very uncomfortable feeling. It's like you don't know what to eat. You don't know what to...
So like Joe was saying, you just don't eat anything.
You just don't eat. Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing.
I know I eat a lot on this podcast. I know I eat a lot on this podcast, but in reality, I don't eat at all.
I went through, the divorce diet. Like, I mean, I lost a shit ton of weight because I stopped eating. I stopped sleeping. I stopped, like... everything. I just
this guy would come. He would literally come to work and still be smiling. I'm like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm great.
Yeah,
I'm like, "You're full of shit, yo."
dude.
Like,
that was the day. Like, I remember. Okay, so like the day that I found out I was basically facing a divorce, I called out of work and didn't say anything. And then the next day, I showed up, and Andre came in not like 30 minutes after the shift had started into my office. I was like, dude, are you okay? And I was just like, I broke down because I hadn't talked to anybody about it. Like, I didn't even know what was going on. Like, I was still so just like lost in my own thoughts of like, how is this all going to actually end up? And it was terrifying. Like, I was, sorry, Joe, I don't mean to like make you relive all of this shit, but it's just, I want you to know
how do you relive something you're currently living through?
Well,
well, you're living in a special situation, dude. Like, and I'll be honest. Like, I know, like, you're now person number 3 that I'm not built the way you're built. Where it's like I could never do that, right?
In what respect?
But I'll tell you,
you talking about like just taking the abuse,
or like the proximity,
living with the sad.
I think the proximity changed last week, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she moved out.
Oh, that's fair.
And here's to many people's disappointment of me, I helped her move out. I helped her affiliate, we'll call them that, was like, I'll help you move so he doesn't have to be involved. And then they just never showed up. So she was like, well, what am I going to do? And I'm like, what you're going to do is drive the U-Haul. I'm just going to carry the heavy stuff up the stairs for you.
I went to a football game. And when I came back, all her stuff was gone. It was great.
But no, I mean, I carried the king size mattress up by myself. I helped take all the heavy like furniture upstairs.
You guys are ballers, yeah. You guys, like, seriously.
But see, like, I don't know. Is that really baller definition? I feel like that's anti-baller definition. That's like simp definition.
You're such a chump.
One city
for letting her.
I went to another city. I'm like, I'm good. But I'll say this. Like, here's the thing that.
Right.
Here's the thing I would tell you, like, seriously. What was a beacon for me was, how do I become a better Andre, and how do I become and maintain being a better father?
You eat your beans so you can become
because at some point,
what?
Everything
Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm already 6'1", so
he's big enough.
I'm taller than 70%.
Hey, if
of
anybody on
Americans.
this podcast is getting taller, it's this dude over here. All right.
My point being is, like, at the end of the day, like, wherever that road takes you, right? The beacon should become, how do I become a better you, right? And be a better father. Because the unfortunate reality is that there are things that you can't, like, predict, but they're going to happen. And the people that it's going to happen to, unfortunately, are going to be your children. And that's something that most people don't think about.
Yeah, I got 3 kids, and
It's hard.
Knowing that one of them is going to be raised never having that mother-father relationship, it rips me up at night. And then the other one, the oldest one, having seen the best years of her mother's life, and now seeing the new version of her, and the middle one's being like, I don't care, where's my chicken nuggets? So it's like having to. It's just knowing that things will never be the same. At least as clean as it should have been. Like, I might get remarried, and then I may be able to give my son some sense of that life, but it won't be a true, honest, this is my biological mom, biological dad. You know, he won't see himself in both of us. He only see himself, or he's gonna grow up like me, where I am 100% my father, and well, I'm 100% my father physically. Mentally, I'm 100% my grandfather. I'm nothing of my mother. There's mommy issues galore in this. If you want some of this, that's great. But it was like I had trust issues for women coming into this, and now you damn right I have trust for women.
Now
trust
it's like
issues
100
with women.
times worse.
Oh my god, it's almost like it's so bad now that I'm like, you can do whatever you want. I'm just gonna watch. Like, you're not gonna make things worse for me.
Well, but
I have Halo and Civilization.
I will. Yeah, I was
dangerous
gonna say. I mean, honestly,
is.
like, that's a dangerous attitude and position to put yourself in, because
I think
you are.
that position is just for me to survive what I'm going through now, though.
And I
No, but it's also dangerous. Like, I'll be the first one to admit that my youngest son, same thing. Like, his mom and I split when he was 6 months. His whole life was, I see my dad every other weekend in the summertime. At one point, he's like, yeah, this is not normal, right? The only thing I had going for me was, now I'm going to be a good dad no matter what, right? So work on you, work on the things that make you a better person. Then your second role is to, how do I become a better father in spite of the challenges I go through? Yeah. My son now, he'll be 22 in December. He appreciates that. And that's what I would tell you. It's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. Like, I remember telling Chris, I had a friend tell me one time when I got separated, he's like, it's going to get a lot worse. Yep. I was like, yeah, that is like so terrible to say, but it's true.
What I'm finding is a lot of people make assumptions that, because she moved out, you must have done something horrible, horrendous. Or when they see me in public,
true. That's actually not true.
Yeah. Or because when I'm with my kids out in public, they were like, why are you taking care of the kids? Like,
right.
That's mom's job. What are you doing? Yeah, I'm like,
what does that say about her?
But at the end of the day,
yeah,
like,
right, man.
even that underlying, like, assumption is false. Like, I mean, it's not only a mother's job.
It's not
to
a
care
cultural
for the
shaming
children.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
I mean,
single dads have been shit shamed for a while, and then stay-at-home single dads are even worse.
Yeah.
But here's what I would here's like legit what I would tell you, right? Your priorities, and I'll tell you the same thing I told Chris. Your priority is to take care of you and be a good dad for your kids.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't change. It's like, no matter what happens outside, those are all external. You can't change those. It's hard to focus on that, but it's the reality. And that's the secret sauce. Like, nobody knows what happened behind the curtains with you and your wife, right? We don't know. We will never know. Just like I would tell Chris.
I'm legally not going to be the one to break that boundary. But if you're watching, hi, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
and that's fair, but because nobody ever knows. Nobody should know, or they will never know. the priorities are, how do you become a better you, and how do you like become a better dad?
Yeah, and not to mention divorce. When you mention to somebody, like I went to Walmart, right, and I just got food stamps, so I'm like, heck yeah, I get the kids some chicken nuggets. That's a rolling theme, I guess.
Why do you eat chicken nuggets?
They were on sale. They were dinosaur shape. Okay, I did get vegan chicken nuggets as well, sir.
I was going to say, they have the
kind of
vegetable-based or like vegetizer or whatever.
Yeah,
they're not
they
bad.
look like star shapes. Yeah, they're not bad. But I was in the line, and I put everything on the doobly doo, and then the lady was like, she recognized me because I'm always there with my wife, and she was like, "Oh, it's just you, huh? Where's your wife today?" And I was like, she's a little occupied.
Oh, shorty out.
Yeah. And then she's like, "Oh, well, okay." And she's like, "Well, I guess you get some kid time now." I'm like, "Yeah, kind of like forever now, right?"
Every day.
Like I said, that I didn't want to tell her, but I wanted to like hint, like, please stop. But I think there's a lot of stigma to getting divorced, and when people hear that you're getting divorced, I've noticed there are ones that immediately want to run to either side to who's the good one, who's the bad one. Let's vilify one of you two, and then there's the ones that are like, oh well, the man's just a straight failure. If you married and you provided, why can't you have maintained? That kind of thing.
But here's the thing that guys don't do. They don't press themselves on, like when I say this, I mean it like 100%. I don't care what people think about me. Like, I literally don't.
Hence your shirt collection.
Yeah. Actually, my wife said, you got to stop wearing those shirts because you might get fired. So
whatever.
Like,
they were going to fire you long before you started wearing those shirts.
Yeah, it has everything to do with the Obama talk.
Yeah. So, but my question is, like, the question that guys struggle with asking themselves is, like, seriously, why is it important that I care what people think about me?
Yeah.
Right? I give silly disclaimers 89% for the joke, depending on who it is, right? Do I care what people think about me? No, because if you don't like me, I don't really care. But if you respect me, I care about that more, right? And it's hard to... The stigma that you're talking about is something that you're going to wrestle with for the next, like, 10, 15 years, depending on how old your youngest child is.
Yeah, 5. Turned 6 in, like, 14th. Yes. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I really am, though. I didn't mean for that to come off ironic. I love Christmas parties. It's just this year is going to be kind of depressing.
But it's okay. Like, it's like, look, the tough times that we have to deal with and endure are to make us better, right? Like, for me, for example, one of the worst times in my life, it's helped me to be a better friend for people like... Yeah, seriously.
No, you didn't hear. You said something about, like, when I met Chris. Yeah, I know. Seriously, that was one of the worst. That was one of the lowest points in my life, was meeting that asshole.
No, but for me to go through that and to come out on the other side and be there to support Chris was, in hindsight, pretty amazing.
I mean.
But Chris is not the only person.
Right.
Like, I have a lot of friends and
wait. So you met
like going through this.
Chris when he was going through divorce?
No. Right. So he met before. So Andre and I met. We were working together.
This is like a sick twist of fate.
That would be. But no. But like, I'll be perfectly honest, Joe. Like, when you and I
divorce papers.
I like that. That's probably the title of the episode right there. No, but like, when you and I first connected, like, when I was reading your profile on Bumble BFF, I was like,
I thought you were gonna flirt with me. I saw your facial hair.
I was just like, I read that and I went, to me, what I saw was somebody who was in a very similar situation to what I went through. And in a lot of ways, what I was hoping was that if you and I connected, that I could help you just by being a friend, like, not telling you what to do, not like guiding you through this, but No, but just like being somebody like Andre was, who was just somebody to sit there and listen and say like, dude, this sucks, and it's probably going to get worse before it ever gets better. But you've got somebody here that, you know, like understands that and will be your friend and will help you through it and will invite you over for dinner, like occasionally.
Stop being so sappy. God.
No, but I'm saying like, he did. Like, this is legit.
That's a cultural problem, though. Like, seriously, what you just said is a cultural issue of actually going through shitty shit. So when I was hear me out. So when I moved back to Raleigh, right?
Why'd you move back?
I was pathetic. I was super pathetic. My sister felt so bad for me. She's 10 years younger than me. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm about to eat." She goes, "What are you eating?" I'm like, "Oodles and noodles." She goes, "I'm gonna come cook for you."
Oh, that's so sad.
So my sister,
did you at least warm it up?
Dude, I was like pathetic. I was
you didn't
like,
warm
really
it up.
Sad.
You just like put it in a. Did you at least put it in a bowl, or did you just eat it straight out of the can?
I put it in a bowl at least. It was still sad.
Because my childhood was all straight out of the can. I'm okay for viewers. Yes, this all seems like a very sad and depressing time for me. This is actually one of the most happiest times of my life because I'm offloading a lot of stress and a lot of trauma, and I'm redefining myself for what I want to be versus what I'm told I should be. And I can cook my own food because I know how to cook. I'm not one of those guys who was like, "Oh, I need a wife to cook. Please, Mom, help me."
I can do laundry too. So, but the reason I say that is because like it's a cultural, like some of those things are cultural, like
they are
abnormalities, right? It's like you can't pretend like you're this tough non-white guy and like have your feelings hurt.
Yeah, I can't pretend I'm any kind of non-white guy.
Well, that's actually a good point because everyone expects because of my skin complexion that I'm more like thicker to it.
The reality is guys get their feelings.
But I think, like Joe, you make a good point that I think there is that societal belief and pressure that like non-white guys are tougher than white guys. That like now it's become kind of okay for white guys to be like emotional and vulnerable and all of this stuff. But
they
I
wear
do think
sweaters
that
and talk about their feelings on podcasts.
Yeah, but I do think that there is not that same level of societal acceptance for non-white men, right? Like it is not, and I mean part of it I think maybe cultural, right? Like that there's that element of it where it's supposed to be like the.
I know it's cultural when I walk into a store, first time I've ever been there, and someone looks at my tattoo on my arm, and the facial expression changes. Like, they see the beard, they see the hoodie, and they're like, "Oh, he's a piece of shit." I roll my sleeves up, because that's the only way, I just walk. When I walk in the buildings, I roll my sleeves up. I don't know why. Yeah, right? But then they see the tattoo.
Trying to start a fight.
No, then they see the tattoo.
He's showing off his firefighter tattoos. Like, I mean, you talked about this, I think, on like the first reason.
The entire reason I have it in that direction is so when I'm walking, people can make out what it is. That's that. When I got it, I was like, because he was like, point it towards you, so it's toward your heart. And I'm like, no, I want to put it like this, so when I'm handing an axe to somebody, or I'm dragging a hose line, they can see how committed I am. I'm just saying, if there's ever a job you do that you're not balls deep for no pay, it's fire department.
Being a firefighter. But so my point is, like, I'll tell people all the time. I'll tell people like, "Yo, they hurt your feelings." And I tell guys this a lot, and they get like butt hurt. Okay. Like, no, but they hurt your feelings. Like, nah, I just didn't like it. I'm like, no, but they totally hurt your feelings. And it's if you look at the body language of somebody who you say, "Yeah, you got your feelings hurt," they're like, they don't want to, they can't sign on to that.
I mean, I had to,
but it's a reality.
So, like, one of the things that I have struggled with over the last several months, I've been living with my parents, right? And Joe, I swear to God, you will get yourself booted from this podcast so quickly.
Wait, like that. Living with your parents currently?
Yeah. I explained this to you. Did you? We bought a house. Well, we bought a house down here, but we're renovating it, and because of all of the delays,
you did that
specifically kitchen cabinet stuff. But we're finally moving forward.
I got my cabinet. Let you have an alcove of book bags. They were okay with that? They didn't think that was unsafe?
No, this is my office, man. This is my workplace. This is my sanctuary.
Okay, since we're talking about offices, I just gotta throw that out because I know there's gonna be somebody at some point wondering, what's that?
Yeah, what is
Right
that?
there.
Your video quality is not great tonight on the live, so I can barely tell. It'll be fine on the recorded version, I'm sure. But...
remember that thing I FaceTimed you about?
Oh, you mother!
Yeah.
You put that in the background.
I have everything on my shelves. I don't even think about
Now
it.
I
And
gotta
saw it, I was
like
like, I'm just
blur it out.
No, it's not like it's open or anything. It's just I was just
It doesn't have to
put my head
be.
in front of it.
Yeah, there you go.
You
That's
know,
much better.
Let's be realistic. If we're talking about our emotions here, we're also talking about intimacy, and nothing's more intimate than
No,
owning a
you're
flashlight.
talking about intimacy. All right, Andre, you have like
didn't
crossed
even buy it.
the line. No, but
So my point being,
Accept random packages in the mail, even if they're not yours. Yeah.
no. So here's what I'll say. Like, and I will acknowledge like the dodge, right? The emotional dodge, right?
Like I just did.
It's okay to get your feelings hurt.
Yeah. No,
Like
not initially.
most of your responses, well, you're right,
Yeah.
but most of your responses to like your wife or whoever, you're gonna get your feelings hurt, and that's where guys go off the deep end, right?
Yeah, when you try to
start
repress it.
questioning everything.
Yeah. Yeah, when you try to
but
repress it.
it's like you can't swim upstream. Like
I can't swim at all.
That's pretty.
That's why I'm a firefighter.
funny.
I get away
I
from
had a
water.
joke. So my point, like, the reason I say that is because there's sometimes avoidance is more detrimental than just acceptance, right? So
Yeah.
in martial arts, when somebody throws a punch at you, you're not really trying to dodge it. You're trying to go with their motion, right? In boxing,
Yeah,
it's
it
the
takes
same
more
thing.
energy to stop it than it would just to divert it.
Yeah. So it's nothing changes like in the emotional state either, and that's where guys, like, seriously. And if you're a guy out there or a woman out, like, you're having relationship issues,
or a non-binary.
it's not.
Yeah,
not-
definitely
that's
come to
complicated,
us
but yeah.
and ask us how we messed that up.
The three guys.
Yeah,
Well, but that's
No, I'm just.
Be a
I'm
lawsuit
sorry.
against us.
that's super dismissive, right? Psychological is psychological.
It is. No, you're right. I mean, the truth of the matter is, and 2/3 of this hosting audience here are at least fairly elevated in their thoughts. Joe, I'm discounting you in this conversation just because you're only going through all
I
of
hate
this
that.
right now. But no, I'm being an asshole. But no, being
Well, I'm
like,
looking away because you're getting me so running. Like the thoughts are running so quickly in my head that I'm like,
I can see that.
I
Your
need-
body language is like you're.
I need to
it's
dis-
yeah,
avoidance,
you're
right?
definitely not playing video games while we're hosting a podcast together.
it's civilization. It's not even a game.
I fucking called it.
But they're
I was sitting there earlier,
Look,
like
man.
I kept hearing a little tapping, and I'm like, "This
Yeah,
son of a
but I was like,
bitch,
I'm not
he's
gonna call
playing
him that.
video games."
I'm literally just building an economy. I'm building a world where mine's crumbling, sir. Let me have this.
Dude, it's fine.
But
I'm
here's
just
here's
giving
the
you shit.
like. I
know,
think
it's a
that
joke.
it's almost it's something that people like. Avoidance is not. It's not a strategy.
Well, could you
I
argue
mean,
that
my dog
avoidance
tries
is just
it.
kind of like a what?
My dog tries the
What do you-
avoidance
what-
strategy because I've been training
Dog-
him with the shock collar, right? Like the e-collar. And
Oh,
so,
you sick bastard!
well, it's not my fault. He's a
Come here,
freaking
boy.
psychopath. No, it's not come here. It's stop going freaking nuts over the random stranger walking down the street that's 35 feet away from you. No, this dog loses his mind. And because he's half German Shepherd, half Rottweiler, he has these.
German Shepherds are good dogs, and so are
Yeah, they're
Lions.
great, but they have the scariest growl bark combination of like anything.
Oh, that's fair.
And so people
I'm a
like
cat
hear him
guy,
and they
so.
think that he is going to rip their nuts off. And I mean, he probably would, but anyways, the
Cat
trainer
would
that
just
I
wait for you to go
hired
to sleep and then bite it off.
to come help me with him was explaining stuff just generally about like avoidance, like noticing that he will start to avoid certain stimuli that have gotten him in trouble previously as opposed to accepting them, right? Like those are the 3 steps. Right now he's stimulated and he wants to react, right? We're trying to get him away from that. And so the between stimulated, react, and accepting is avoidance. He's like, if I go away from it, maybe I won't react to it and I won't get in trouble for it. So that was the
So
freaking
you would say
reference
so
that I
would you
was
argue
trying to
that it's
make
more
here.
of like a Would you say it's like more of a primal instinct for humans to just avoid things that are uncomfortable in that respect?
I think it's more of a male instinct than associated.
And
with
I don't
women.
even know if it's necessarily primal as much as it is societal. I don't think it's necessarily like ingrained in our Y chromosome as much as it is like that society has built us to the point, or has set the expectations.
Shaped us.
Yeah, that we are infallible, or that we are immobile, or like impervious. That no matter what it is that comes out our way, like we have to be the strong rock that is.
Chuck Norris set the bar really too high for us as a species.
But to be fair, you're still doing it, right? Like to be uncomfortable is to actually find a way to healing. Like that's the reality of it. Like the more uncomfortable I am, I can have better relationships.
Well, I mean, you talked about this before with the experience at E area, right? Where it's like you don't grow significantly during times of ease, right? If everything in your life is going good, you are not being challenged to grow in any way, shape, or form, right? And so there's
actually a historical precedent for that. I'll get to that. You go. But
yeah, I mean, it's only when you're faced with challenges that all of a sudden you're like, I got to figure out how to overcome this, and all of a sudden you develop this new skill set, right? One of the things that came out of my divorce that I am eternally grateful for is that, like you talked about, Andre, I figured out how to make myself better, right? One of the things I did early on, and Andre laughs at this because he himself would be an excellent therapist, and usually was just like, dude, stove's hot, stop touching it. But I went to therapy, and my therapist, one of the first things she said was, I would like you to go home and make a list of the things that you feel like you lost, in your marriage. And then I want you to make a list of the things that you think you're good at. And I bet you that there's a huge amount of overlap between those two things. And I want you to identify what those things are, and if they're things that you would like to get back, work on getting them back. And music was one of the things that I had felt like I had lost in my previous relationship. And this podcast has actually immensely helped me to reconnect with my music, because it allowed me the creativity to create all the little bumpers and do the intro music and all this stuff and start doing sound editing. And so this has been a massively therapeutic device for me in doing this, which I know also is probably something that to some degree will make Andre laugh, but
you better open up that sweater a little bit. Your heart's pounding through it. That's a lot of realism right there.
But it's okay. See, but it's real.
But Joe, you're doing it like that's.
No, I wasn't saying a bad thing. I was just saying. I was saying let it all out.
I'm saying I'm saying like the vulnerability, we're like guys are innately adverse to vulnerability.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They're afraid of being picked on. Afraid more hurt.
Yeah, and that's fair, but it's like, well, get a better circle. Right?
You're in a circle here where you don't have to worry about that. That was the thing.
Well, except for the people that watch this.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying
that's. God forbid people watch this.
No, but I'm,
all 17 of you subscribers, which includes 4 of me.
Here's the hypothetical. Right?
You liking your same thing 4 times.
What if you could be honest about how you talk about how you feel about something, right? That's a big aspirational thing to say. I'm at a point in my life where it's like, I don't really give a shit if people like me or dislike me. I'm going to be honest. I want people to.
Oh, I could tell your relationship with Chris is polar opposite of that.
No.
You say that you don't think I think very highly of Andre? Because that is quite false.
Not all the time. You think very highly of him 99% of the time, except for that one topic.
that one, Cam Newton. But it's totally okay. I'm also okay with accepting I don't have to agree with everybody. I can be respectful about this.
Even his best friend.
And I think you don't have to have everyone liking you.
And I think that I don't. It doesn't matter to me. But I think that if people, especially dads, right? And I can talk about my own childhood, right? Where it's like, and it's not to put my dad out like that, but it's like, yo, you could have just said these things to me, but because the way he grew up in his world and his purview, those things weren't acceptable, right?
Yeah, there was a very rigid.
Me as a,
There's very rigidness to it. I understand that.
Yeah, damaged me as a man, but I can look back and say, but he did the best he could do with what he knew, right?
Yeah.
But what if we could fix some of that and say, look, it's not about just being, labeled a simp or whatever people want to. It's don't discount honesty and truth for the sake of doing it. Yeah. It's just not those two things are not mutually exclusive.
I see a lot of people, especially online, and especially on TikTok. They're relating men wanting to open up about their feelings to insecurity, and the idea is if you're a stronger man, you wouldn't have those feelings. Stop being so insecure about your body.
I'm super insecure. I'm super insecure. I don't watch TV shows if my wife says somebody's cute. I'm not watching that shit anymore. So,
it's true. See it happen.
So anything with Ryan Reynolds is a no, huh?
No, she doesn't like Ryan Reynolds.
No, at least if she tells me, I'm like, Ryan Reynolds is dead.
No, she knows better now.
The reality is, it's like, look, if you want like true healing, and I don't discount therapists. I don't discount anybody in the mental health field.
God knows they don't. They charge a premium.
I know. I think that the biggest challenge that people have is embracing truth and honesty. Right? The
real truth and honesty, not what we tell ourselves to get through the day.
Actual truth and actual honesty.
Yeah, there are actual times where I'd say, hey, look, Chris, I don't have a better way to say this, but blah, right? And his job as my friend and my brother is to reel me back in, to kind of clean up the edges. I can't say it without the edges messy, right? Yeah. And I don't expect him to be like, well, you're off by... No, if I'm off, tell me I'm off. But I don't need it. Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm telling you, I don't have a better way to say this, but this is how I feel.
But that's the other piece is that you need somebody who's going to be honest with you, right? And I think that's the other place that I think a lot of people don't feel secure. It's not. It's a level of not feeling secure in their own vulnerability, but also not feeling secure in who it is that they're opening up to. Whether it's your wife or a coworker or a friend or a parent, sibling, whatever. That for whatever reason you have some sense that like this is not a safe thing for me to do. And
I think it goes back to
safe is so overrated.
Well, yeah, safe.
I think it goes back to
the
idea that can I go? My turn?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it goes back to the idea that people. What did you say?
Friend of the show, Joe.
Oh, that rhymed. I was like, what my brain was like, say that again.
Say that one more time.
What are we doing?
Yeah, right.
They speak English and what?
Like we said, it goes back to that, and I won't even say innate because I've seen my kids, they don't have an innate fear of much. I think it's the learned fear of like loss and hurt and rejection. And I think people are afraid to be truthful with other people because they're afraid their truth is going to be rejected or they're going to be outcasted. Speaking from a guy who lost 2 jobs, a marriage, all of his friends, get outcasted. It's the best thing you've ever done in your life. You find new people, you find your true hobbies, you'll go on with your life, and then someone accidentally mails you a fleshlight. But no, really, it's not even my address. It's across town, and somehow they got it here. And I was conflicted, and I called Chris, and I'm like, Chris, what do I do with this? What's the bro code here? I know where this guy lives now. I don't want to just show up. I don't want to just show up to his house, and be like, here, bro.
No, so but I mean, my guess on that is that you have like a guardian Amazon delivery man or woman. Angel, who recognized everything that's going on in your life and was like, this person doesn't need this. This guy does.
And you just hold the box. Yeah, this is a fleshlight. Here you go.
They know
it
what's
anything
in
else.
To reel it back in, I think that there's 3 things.
Good luck.
Courage.
That implies I'm not getting any just because I'm getting divorced. It hurts.
There's 3 things. It's courage, right? And the courage is like to like face the unknown without expectations. The second thing would be like truth/honesty. I mean, what's the worst thing that's going to happen to you if you're honest?
They're gonna punch me in the face.
And
You'll get.
there's a 99% chance that won't happen.
That's what Andre always said. He's like, "What's the worst that could happen? They punch me in the face," and I'm like, "That's pretty bad. I don't like getting punched in the face. The couple of times it's happened, it has not been a pleasant experience."
Why is that gotta be the baseline though? Why don't I punch the
There's a
gut?
99% chance that won't happen.
Houdini died
And
from
the
punching
third
the
thing
gut.
is like, the third thing is like, find an overabundance of grace. Like I believe everybody wants at some level to be forgiven. Now the way they project that is not something that you can probably typically figure out, but people tell you bad things about themselves because they want to be forgiven. People tell you a lot of things because at the root of what they're saying or asking is forgiveness, and they haven't figured out how to get that. So I think that we should all carry an extra level of abundant grace to give people. And we could like theoretically be the person that helps somebody get off the ledge. And I think that people are just afraid of those things. Those three things are like, I don't know what happened, but just have a little bit of courage. Like fear is literally a choice. Like, and I know that's been like overstated many times. It's been in a couple of bad movies, but I really believe fear is a choice.
I mean, I can
You
relate
choose
for
to be
that.
afraid of something.
I mean, my first structure fire, I was looking at the door and the flames were coming through, and I was like, I felt like the thought, you should run away. This is not for you. This is your first fire. No one's gonna blame you. And I was like, I literally just made a mental like, nope, clicked it off, and then just powered through it. And it felt like an eternity, but it was only like 15 minutes. But when you say fear is a choice, I was given the choice to decide for myself if I was gonna be afraid or not. I chose not to be. Which, that you can say that doing that too much causes problems, hence the PTSD. But the root of what you're saying is correct. Fear is a choice. Don't let it control you. Empower yourself to get through the challenging moment of your life.
And honesty and truth is hard, right? But if you have the courage to say, like, again, do I want this person to like me or respect me? And I think that kind of it answers that question. And thirdly, I mean, people want to, like, I think most people want to be forgiven for something. It's at the root of a lot of the things that we do. It's at the root of our honesty. It's at the root of our vulnerability.
And now we're talking about religion with original sin.
Sure. Yeah. Again, I never like specifically talk about religion.
Yes, you do.
Because I don't think.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I know.
You probably get a gospel group over there. I love it.
I never talk about religion. Religion.
I'm just waiting for a
fair,
magical cross to pop up over his head.
The reality is, like, nobody's trying to hear like your religious speak, right?
I mean,
if you could actually say the things that are actually motivating you to say them, you're talking about your faith, but you're not talking about it in package religion.
You're not living it
because it's a big
practicing
turnoff.
it.
You're not living.
It's the whole
it.
point of the homily, right?
That's actually a fair assessment.
I mean, in my mind, that was where church became real back in my day growing up, where it was like, okay, here's a theoretically real story that actually takes the biblical, piece that we've just heard and puts it into practice and helps to put it into context in what we are dealing with in our current lives.
I was a training consultant for a company, or one of the companies I spent most of my career in for 2 years, and I realized something about training in and of itself. Two very important parts. Well, actually, three. People don't get hired to get fired. Like that was
unless you work pizza.
Secondly, people don't train other people because of their own insecurities. They're afraid to show people what they don't know. And
Wait,
thirdly,
say that again?
there is people don't train other people because of their own insecurities. They're afraid to show people what they don't know.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah, I don't train someone how to use a pump panel if I don't feel like I know how to do it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. But you can always learn how to do it before you train that person. Right?
Unless that's what I did. Yeah.
And And thirdly, this is the weirdest one, is that, and let me try to frame this in a very simple way.
Oh, because we're so hard to understand the big boy stuff.
No. Well, slightly.
I know,
because,
it's complex.
Like, I lost my train of thought.
He's trying to buy himself some time. Let me think of what's the best way to
In a
put
true
this thing
Obama
that I've
fashion.
forgotten how to say.
That's what Obama was saying like 9
Yeah.
minutes. He's like, what I need is some more time to
Yeah,
kind
what
of
happened?
construct my thoughts.
Yeah.
Damn it. You
I
guys
loved
got
it.
me.
do
I
it.
loved it
It
when he
was
did
all
the whole.
Joe.
He did one of these and just pointed and held it for a while, and then he like looked away, pointed, and then started talking again.
So
I'm like, you
what was
got it.
the first point was people don't get hired to get fired.
Which they do.
People don't train.
They don't train for if they have insecurities
Because they don't.
you know,
They don't.
of
Because they
insecurities.
don't. They don't want to teach what they don't know. And I don't remember what the third one was.
Which
Yeah,
makes.
That's where we've
like,
gotten in
screams
this
every
podcast
version.
episode tonight.
Man, you guys got me, man. This is a first, and we're gonna have to like,
Usually
That's
Chris is the
super
one
sad.
who's like, wait, what was I talking about?
I know. So, man. Okay, I'll probably remember it next week. But anyway, I hope that this very deep conversation is helpful. It's a good conversation to have with a bunch of guys, because to be honest, guys, we're thinking it, but we're just not
We
seeing it.
rarely have these conversations. That's the problem.
Yeah. It was
Whether
really
because we
really
don't feel like there
a
are people
natural
in our
opportunity.
lives that give us exactly right. Like I don't know, it's like Andre is one of the few people in my life that I feel like I can have these kinds of conversations with. You know, like Joe, you're
My thing
getting
is,
added
like, you don't
to the
see
list.
barbershops anymore.
Do what
You
now,
said you
Joe?
don't see
You don't see
barbershops
as many
anymore.
barbershops anymore. There, like that used to be the thing. Barbershop talk. Everyone, the
Yeah,
guys talk about what's
I
going
was
on.
literally like, about 10 years ago, I was going to open up a chain of barbershops because like it's so hard to find a barbershop in the black community.
A good straight
If you
razor
move-
shave is the best.
Oh man,
And I know
But
that
that's-
my opinion on this carries very little weight with this audience.
it carries
I
zero.
understand that.
Zero.
What's your opinion?
I finally, I was struggling.
Supercuts.
I was struggling to find a place down here when I moved down to the beach to get my hair cut, and I finally found a barber that I like. It's a nice spot.
You get crispy edges. Yeah, real talk. I had to tell him what crispy edges. I actually had to educate an entire group of people of like crispy edges. I'm like, if the edges aren't crispy, you shouldn't go there. Like, what does that
Amen.
mean? I'm
Amen. Amen. I haven't heard that in a
I'm
while.
like,
man.
yo, if your lines aren't tight, yo, like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
should never go to
exactly.
that barber
Oh
again.
my God,
If the fade ain't,
God, yes, man. I because my wife for a long time, she was the one doing them. Like she would, the haircut, and then she would, do the edges. She was doing them so right. I was like, I'm not going to another barber. It was one guy.
now what are you
doing
gonna do?
barber? I do it myself. Can't you tell?
No, Joe, I couldn't. It looks great.
Oh my God.
nah, it's all about the crispy edges. So shout out to all the dope barbershops out there.
I'm a stickler for that
Tame
spot
the
right behind your
mane.
head.
Down here in Carolina
pay-
Beach.
Really? I will pay $30 for a
Yeah.
haircut. Like when I didn't.
If
shave
it's a
off
good
all my
haircut,
hair,
I
'cause,
absolutely will pay $30 for a haircut.
Yeah, my hairline is.
But that's the
receding.
problem is like I gotta go in somewhere and just hope that this place is gonna give me a good haircut.
Why don't you just call?
What I'm gonna call and
Call.
say, do you give good
If they're a
haircuts?
stylist, okay, no, call them. If they're a
First of all,
stylist,
you should go to a
dentist-
black barbershop.
Yeah.
Amen.
And
That,
find
yeah.
out
Because
Puerto
I'm
Rican.
gonna go in
It-
there, me, white boy
No,
Chris,
actually, you can't.
and totally be confident and
no.
calm and comfortable in that environment.
Yo, first everybody's gonna look at you like this.
Yeah.
Then second,
Yeah.
they're like, yo, he respects
No
game.
bullshit.
Yeah, if, if you show up, that means you're
Shit, they're
different.
gonna look at me and say
Have
he
you ever been to a
respects
black
game.
barbershop?
They're gonna say this white boy is lost. He doesn't know where
Have you
he
ever been-
is.
Have you ever been to a black
No,
barbershop?
but I've seen the movies.
That's racist. I will not stand for that.
See,
You gotta go. You gotta go to a black barber shop.
You were supposed to take me to one in
And-
Raleigh at some point, and we never went.
How about
You're
you go to a
right.
black church too?
You're right.
Just go all the way with it. I go to a black church.
I'm
It's
good on
fantastic.
church, man.
That's like a 3-hour commitment.
Yeah.
Yo.
Andre doesn't even go to black
church.
church.
Our services are only 1 hour for convenience, and then you go home.
And spend 2 more hours
Oh, man.
praying.
That's like the worst thing for football season, man. Is black church, man, because you'll be in there for like 2.5 hours. It's like when the preacher's got to give you a score update in the middle of the
That's when
sermon.
you know your
And
church
it's like
ceremony has gone too long.
So
What are we talking about?
anyway,
Edgy.
but man, I'm still.
But not that
You're not going to think of
Yeah,
it.
I'm not.
It's
It'll be
gone.
like next week. But yeah, that's terrible. But I'm super glad that we had this conversation, and I know it's a heavy conversation, but like real talk, it's one of those things that guys should talk about. You know.
Yeah. You
like,
definitely need to
you
find.
know,
Oh,
hit
by
up
the
your
way,
homeboys.
sorry. No, back to. Don't do that, Chris. Don't change the subject.
What did I
You
do?
call them and ask if they're a stylist or they're a barber. If they're a stylist, they're not for you. You stop it. They didn't get as much training. Barbers actually get licenses more licenses, and they get a degree and they get a picture taken with their barber class of that year. So if they're not barber, they don't touch your head. Don't let them touch you. You know you're better than that. You don't look better than that, but you know you're better than that.
Don't let him you said don't let him touch you.
Okay.
It's like, he's not going to mass.
All right, you made that joke, not me.
I'm just saying,
Oh, God.
barbarism has.
That was terrible. I shouldn't have done that. But
She said.
I shouldn't. That's terrible. I shouldn't have said that. That was
But I have
wrong.
such a huge
But
respect for
I will
barbers,
say-
especially in 2021 when no one wants to be a barber anymore. Like,
Yo, man, you got to go to a black barbershop.
I would
Chris.
love to.
Yo, if you're a black barbershop
In the Wilmington
in
area,
Wilmington,
and you're listening to this, message me, Chris at chrisandandreshow.com. I will.
you don't have to do that.
I will. Like, no, you will get a free plug on our podcast. I will come in, get my hair cut. I will come on this show, and I will give my honest review of your haircut, the whole experience.
Literally,
Yo,
just
that
have
should
to
be a
drive down.
segment, yo.
Just drive down the entrance of Wilmington, and as you go down, I think
The
it's
entrance
just to left
of
of 12th Street.
Wilmington.
So you
You're
know
talking about
when you
Market
cross
Street?
the bridge from. No. God, the entrance of Wilmington is not Market Street. That's where the slaves came from. Stop that. No, the Do we not know about the cotton exchange? Do we not know that?
Yeah, I do.
No, dude, I've been
Anyway,
here for
so-
like 2 months. All right,
You really don't know about the cotton exchange?
that's
Okay,
for another
some viewers,
episode.
there's and no, we'll say it quickly. In downtown Wilmington is this really like ritzy, like artsy, hippie kind of
that
like,
cotton
like-
exchange.
yeah, like you go there and all these stores are there. You buy gemstones and stuff like that. It's called a cotton exchange because it was a literal cotton exchange where slaves and cotton was exchanged. You would give us cotton, we'll give you slaves. That's how it worked.
Yeah, let's not go there. So,
Oh, we can't go there? We've
all
been everywhere
let's,
else.
Let's run this back. No, but we're gonna.
No, but we're at the end of the
Yeah, if you-
episode. If, you're
if-
gonna bring that up now, we're gonna be here all freaking night.
Yeah.
Hey, I got nothing to do.
If you're a black barbershop, please help my boy out. Like
Seriously.
Chris, please make this a segment. Yeah, like just blast this on social media. Yo, please help him get a crispy like haircut. You know, make sure everything's faded out nice and lovely. Give him that crazy crispy part. Yeah, just do that joint out nice.
But no, don't shave the
anyway.
line or the part in. I don't want that shit. That's too much.
Chris, stop
All right.
talking. I got you, dog. So,
Stop talking. He's color guarding you. He's like, stop.
but I'll be the first one to tell you. Like, I will pay $30 for a haircut, and I have done it. When I went to Atlanta one time, I paid $35 for a haircut, and like 20 of that joint was like a tip.
So you didn't really pay $30 for a haircut. You paid $10.
No, that's how good the haircut was. He gave more money towards full value.
That man did not appreciate the quality of his service. He was only charging $10 for that
did.
haircut.
Maybe he's like some of these downtown hoes. They just go for
Anyway.
volume.
thank you very much for joining us today. We're super glad you hung out with us. This has been another long episode. We're sitting at about a little bit over
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
I'm trying to get you guys that 3 mark.
Yeah. If you want to catch our podcast, you can always find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Google Podcasts, TuneIn. And for the adventurous people, hit us up on Plex. I'm sorry, use your RSS reader. I use Plex.
Hit us up on Plex.
Plex is awesome. Put our RSS feed in your favorite RSS reader and get the latest and greatest when they are published. The video version, of course, is on YouTube. Please subscribe. You can hit us at on Facebook at Chris and Andre, on Twitter at Chris and Andre, obviously on YouTube at Chris and Andre. If you have any comments for the show, please send us an email at comments@chrisandandreshow.com. I'm Andre at chrisandandreshow.com. And
I'm Chris at chrisandandreshow.com.
And for the fan of the show, Joe, you can find him
on TikTok at Fire Guy Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Or Google him. He's got fleshlights and all types of weirdness going on.
I also play video games. So, I mean...
He also plays video games. Next week is our video games.
Joe has figured out
the
how
secret
to
sauce,
become
man.
the
Sprinkle it in.
As always.
You guys imply
And I'm
you're trying to get rid of
Chris.
me. And I'm Joe.
We'll talk to you next time.